They are set to land in Accra and then head to their respective homes. On Sunday, about 800 Ghanaians processed their documentation at the embassy in Pretoria. A second group is expected to travel later this week. Jabuli Lembata, Eyewitness News, OR Tambo International Airport.
An alleged human trafficker is expected to appear in court this morning. He was arrested during an operation at a house in Brooklyn earlier this week. 3 women who police believe were trafficked were rescued during that operation. The arrest was as a result of a joint operation with the Department of Home Affairs as well as City Law Enforcement in Cape Town. The Hawks' Zinzihani says the suspect was in the country illegally, resulting in an additional charge under the Immigration Act to be added.
The arrest emanates from a follow-up investigation that discovered a possible trafficker who trafficked young women for sexual exploitation.
Deputy President Paul Mashatile is expected to visit the Cape Flats today as deadly gang shootings continue. During last week's parliamentary question session, Mashatile promised to head to the crime hotspot. His visit comes amid a multi-million rand military deployment to crime-hit areas where daily shootings have left communities living in fear. Tabiso Koba reports.
Despite the presence of soldiers and dozens of arrests, gun battles and killings have continued in hotspots, including Mitchell's Plain, Delft and Kalkfontein. While the South African National Defence Force says it's still too early to measure the success of Operation Prosper, many residents say conditions on the ground have hardly changed. The army has been deployed in the Western Cape for more than a month, carrying out anti-crime patrols. Deputy President Paul Mashatile says he now wants to see the situation firsthand. Deputy President Spokesperson Keith Khoza.
While responding to questions for oral reply in the National Assembly, the Deputy President made a commitment to Honourable Wesley Marshall Douglas, who is a Member of Parliament, to conduct an oversight visit to the Cape Flats, particularly to assess progress in the implementation of measures aimed at combating gang-related criminality under Operation Prosper.
The Deputy President, accompanied by ministers and deputy ministers, will visit 3 gang-ravaged communities. Tabiso Koba, Eyewitness News.
The Health Department is working on digitizing procurement processes to curb corruption. This follows delays to repairs at the Charlotte Maxeke Hospital. Parts of the facility were gutted in a devastating fire in 2021, which resulted in the closure of some sections. Last week, the Public Protector released a report that found that underspending and maladministration were behind the delays. Speaking at the hospital just yesterday, Health Minister Aaron Motsoaledi highlighted the need for changes to how procurement is done.
The manual procurement is what made it easy for people to do what they wanted in Tembisa. But once you do in an electronic manner, and we are busy with it, not only for Tembisa or for here, for all the hospitals in the country, we have discussed it at the National Health Council so that we can actually follow up who is doing what.
And in Southeast Asia, rescue efforts are continuing in Laos for 7 people trapped in a flooded cave. A diver says it's now a race against time to bring them back to the surface a week since they were trapped. The villagers entered the cave searching for gold but were trapped after heavy rain triggered flash flooding, blocking their exit. Authorities and villagers have worked to pump water out, but rescue teams were not able to reach the group. This morning, villagers gathered outside the cave to perform a traditional spiritual ceremony calling for the protection of rescuers and those who are trapped. Gold is trading at $4,507.56 an ounce. The rand is at 16.31 to the dollar, 22.05 to the pound, 19.06 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $98.91 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got heavy delays on the R21 north in the Kempton Park area. That's due to a major accident where a truck rolled over along the route. Delays coming out of Atlas Road. Do expect about a 20-minute hold-up. If you're heading towards the OR Tambo Airport, please use the R23 south and then turn off at Atlas Road. While traveling on the N12 as well as the R24 west, queuing traffic between the Edenville Road exit and the Gidulis interchange.
A fine Wednesday in store for Gauteng today. Temperatures will peak at highs of between 20 and 23 degrees. The top story in EWN, the first 300 Ghanaian nationals voluntarily leaving South Africa due to ongoing tensions have departed from the OR Tambo International Airport.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
On Sunday, 26 July, 7:02 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk unites us all in the iconic Joburg CBD.
7:02
Walk the Talk. Abize bonke. Enter now on primemediaplus.com.
You're with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
Let's Walk the Talk, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7 and 106 FM.
Eight minutes after 9 o'clock. Dumelang, welcome to the Clement Manyathela Show. Thank you for joining us here on 702 for the Wednesday edition of the show. I trust you're well this morning. If you're not, I pray that things will work out for you today. Hello to the YouTubers as well, those who are watching the show on the 702 YouTube page. All right, our show starts with the 702 open line, brought to you by Truecaller. Trust the real ones on 702. You can give us a call on 011-883-0702 or send a WhatsApp on 072-702-1702. The Secretary General of the ANC yesterday confirmed that the party's NEC has endorsed the ANC Integrity Committee's findings against 5 members. And one of those members of the ANC and leaders of the ANC is Sisisi Tolashe. They have been referred to the National Disciplinary Committee with the ANC itself as the complainant. So in Tolashe's case, the findings come on top of her already being axed by President Cyril Ramaphosa as Social Development Minister. Remember, she faced that litany of allegations when she was Social Development Minister. I mean, she misled the public, even Parliament, about the 2 luxury vehicles donated to the ANC Women's League's vehicles that were later reportedly registered in her children's names. So there are many allegations. You know that very well. We've discussed it so many times on the show, and we were intentional about it because we wanted to talk about her until action was taken against her. So I'm honestly surprised that the ANC is actually responding in this manner. Because normally, comrades just want to protect each other. But in this case now, in fact, the Sowetan newspaper is reporting that Tolashe has been ordered to resign as a member of parliament and as the president of the ANC Women's League, which is quite a tough action coming from the ANC, if we're being honest. I mean, can you give me 3 cases where the ANC has responded in this manner? I mean, look at the minister, the former minister of higher education. What's her name? Nkabane, Nobuhle Nkabane. When she displayed that belligerent attitude towards parliament, the president was unhappy about it. She lied to parliament. The president was unhappy about it, and he ultimately axed her. What did the ANC do? They said, oh, come over here, sweetheart. Come and be the chief whip of the organization in parliament. That's what they did. So it really does surprise me when I see the ANC taking such tough action against its own comrades who have been found wanting. Because in this case, I mean, the allegations against Sisisi Tolashe are just, you cannot just justify and defend those. And I'd like to know what your thoughts are on 011-883-0702. Are you surprised by the ANC's moves? Does it signal anything at all in your view? Or maybe you have seen them act in a similar manner. Maybe I've forgotten. Who have they acted against who was found wanting? In a way they even asked them, please resign as an MP. Resign even in your position in the ANC. In this case, Sisisi Tolashe must resign as the ANC Women's League President. I don't think we've seen a lot of such actions from the ANC. Here is the Secretary General of the ANC, Fikile Mbalula, yesterday on this matter.
On the Integrity Commission report, the NEC received and considered the report of the African National Congress Integrity Commission on matters concerning 5 named comrades. The NEC thanks and salutes the members of the Integrity Commission, which stand at the core of the ANC's renewal program and at the core of the upholding of ethical conduct and good governance from within our ranks. The NEC fully endorsed the report of the Integrity Commission and its recommendations on each of the comrades named. Further to that endorsement, the NEC resolved to take an additional step. The NEC shall refer all 5 matters to the National Disciplinary Committee of the ANC for action under the constitutional disciplinary process of the ANC.
So that's Fikile Mbalula yesterday during a press briefing. I say kudos to the ANC. I try and be as fair as I can. I think that is good because historically the ANC would normally just think, oh, well, the president fired her. What else do you want us to do? She must remain as the ANC Women's League president. She can remain as a member of parliament. Historically, that's the sort of attitude I got from the organization. And to see them act in this manner, for me, is like, okay, there seems to be some care about accountability, at least for now. But also, I could be wrong. Maybe there are other factors that are leading, and maybe it's other factors, including factional factors, that are leading to them acting in this manner now. Because, my friends, you know how many members of parliament in the ANC have been found wanting and are mired in serious allegations. And I don't remember the ANC asking them, please resign as a member of parliament. I don't remember that. So this, honestly, surprised me when I saw that they're asking her to resign as an MP. They're asking her to resign as the ANC Women's League president. And they are quickly instituting disciplinary actions against her and all those other people on the list. It's quite something, I would say. So your thoughts, please. Also on the WhatsApp line on 072-702-1702. And then there's a story I want to bring to your attention, and maybe you have been reading about it. News 24 has been running a number of stories on this. And it's about a Pretoria boarding school. I think it's Pretoria Boys High, if I'm not mistaken. Pretoria Boys High School. So the school is at odds with the Gauteng Department of Education after trying to permanently remove a learner who allegedly threatened a school shooting. So there's a 16-year-old learner who, according to an affidavit filed in the High Court in Pretoria, allegedly sent a chilling WhatsApp voice note to classmates saying, if you see a school shooting, just know that it was me because I'm going to blow the school up, he said, specifying a teacher as his first target, this specific teacher. So according to the school, this was not an isolated red flag because back in 2025, this pupil had already received a final written warning after testing positive for marijuana and being removed from boarding accommodation. So he was placed on strict corrective measures, including community service. I think he had to do a research assignment as well on drug use. He had to undergo counseling and drug testing with clear notice that further misconduct could trigger formal disciplinary action. And by February this year, he had reportedly tested positive for marijuana again. The situation escalated further during a separate alcohol-related investigation when school management received voluntary handed the school management was dealing with material that was handed to them, and this is material on this people's phone. And what surfaced there, according to the school submission, went far beyond teenage mischief. There's Instagram footage allegedly showing this pupil and his associates handling firearms while using weed. There are WhatsApp messages referencing acquiring a Glock pistol, including arranging a cash exchange for that pistol at a petrol station. This people is quoted in those messages as saying, and I quote, "Don't forget the Glock. Bring it, and then I'm going to give you the cash," end quote. So this is the behavior of this kid, right? And there was a statement submitted to the disciplinary committee referencing also footage of live rounds being fired into a tree, contradicting the people's mother's claim that the firearm in question was not real. So there was a formal hearing when the learner pleaded guilty to both the shooting threat and drug use. The committee recommended that the boy's expulsion be undertaken from the 27th on the 27th of March this year, concluding that the people posed a material and ongoing risk to members of the school community, and that it was neither reasonable nor appropriate to expect the school to assume responsibility for managing that risk. So they recommended that this kid must be expelled, and they sent that to the Department of Education. And the department came back and said, we don't agree with that. We think the people must return to school under a 12-month suspension sanction alongside a slate of intervention programs. And I would like to know from you if you think that is the right approach by the Department of Education, and whether you think the school also handled this matter in the best possible way, especially in as far as their recommendation is concerned. Because there was a recommendation that they sent to the department that this kid must be expelled because they're worried about the safety of staff and learners. If this kid threatens that there will be a school shooting and he tells people, I'm going to be responsible for that, and there's footage of him firing live ammunition on social media, and there are WhatsApp messages where he's arranging to buy a pistol and meet someone at a petrol station to give them money in exchange for that pistol. I honestly don't see how you keep a kid like that in school. That is not safe for the learners. And maybe your children go to Pretoria Boys High School, or maybe you're related to this child in question. I'd like to know your thoughts on 011-883-0702. Maybe there's another part of the story that we don't know about. But honestly, at first hand, when I heard and I read the story, I thought, if I had children who go to Pretoria Boys High School, and there's a kid who's constantly smoking weed and getting high and threatening a school shooting, and on WhatsApp, he's busy talking to people about buying a pistol and telling them, I'll bring you the cash at a petrol station, and we see him on Instagram shooting live ammunition, I'm taking my children out of that school if action is not being taken against that people. And honestly, I think expulsion is an appropriate action in this case, given the context. Because what else do you do? There have been countless times when they bring these people down and they say, there must be corrective measures. You've got to do better. Go for counseling. Understand the dangers of drug use. And still, after all those processes the school has gone through, this is where we're sitting with a threat for violence against the school and particularly a specific teacher? Well, the department says it's too extreme to expel such a people, but the school seems to have disagreed with the department. So I'll bring in the department to come and explain to us, because there seems to be some kind of an agreement that's coming together between the department and the school. But please let me know what you think. What's the appropriate, what would you do? What do you think is the appropriate action by a school? Do you expel the kid for 12 months? Do you take them through a disciplinary hearing again? With all this evidence that's emerged, supporting the threat that he's making against the school, do you think it's enough to just go expel for 12 months or maybe for 2 months? Or do you agree that the school did well by expelling the people? That's a decision that the school had taken. I'll take your calls and WhatsApps on that as well. At 10 o'clock, I'm going to speak to the International Relations Minister, Ronald Lamola. He believes that the diplomatic pressure, all these concerns raised by countries on the continent over the xenophobic tensions here in South Africa, is partly coordinated to undermine South Africa. Why does he believe so? He'll speak to us at 10 o'clock. At 10:30, we'll have a conversation about the 3 spheres of government. There are always questions about provinces and municipalities and whether they have enough autonomy, and whether the national government sometimes exercises too much control. So as we look ahead to the local government elections, we'll have a conversation about this. What's the best way? And then at 11 o'clock, we do our Listener's Choice feature. Today, we're discussing the policy issue that's been a source of tension between ICASA and the Minister of Communication. That's Equity Equivalence Investment Program, EEIP, that allows foreign firms to gain ownership points by investing in training, skills development, instead of selling their shares. So we'll speak to someone who will explain what this Equity Equivalence Program entails and whether at ICASA, there's a responsibility for it, ICASA as a regulating body, to align its regulations with the BBBEE codes. So that's what's coming up at 11 o'clock. And then we wrap up the show at 11:30 with the sharing space. That's the show coming up over the next 3 hours.
Clement Manyathela, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Good morning, Tate Manyathela. Ke Thabo, mo Gauteng. I'm from Switzerland, ke Katulo. I'm so happy now that the organizations like the ANC, they now realize there's no ANC without voters. I so wish all the political parties, they can start noticing that, especially on the ANC, ga gona African National Congress mokhatlo ntle le rona ba vote. Ke a leboga.
Hi Clement, I don't know, man. Could it be that they are hard on her because, as other comrades, she didn't just wrong the country, but she wronged the ANC. In other words, in their view, she went too far because those cars were supposed to benefit the ANC as opposed to government. I don't know. Just a thought. Maybe they are lenient to those who do wrong to the government as opposed to the organization itself. Because as always, you know that ANC prioritize ANC, if you know what I mean, as compared to the government.
Hi, good morning, Clement. The difference between Tolashe and the others is if it was in a company, Tolashe would have stolen a company property. The 4 cars that were donated, with her diverting them for personal use, that equates to theft. Hence, she is being asked to resign. Basically, it's a dismissal. She is being fired.
Yeah, hey, because, and I think you guys are making fair points that maybe the offense here is not only against the country and in her role as someone in the executive authority, but also there's something here that's happened within the African National Congress, and there are certain prescripts that she has violated even within the ANC, and I think that's a fair point to make, and maybe that's why the ANC is acting in this manner. It's 26 after 9.
You have insurance. just in case. A spare tire, just in case. But when it comes to cash flow, most businesses wait until it's too late. Bridgement gives you business funding on standby, so timing doesn't decide for you. Get access to up to 10 million rand, no cost to apply or keep it in place. Use it when you need it, free when you don't. Apply online at bridgement.com. Bridgement, business funding simplified.
Managing your workforce shouldn't be complicated. That's why businesses choose Onacy, a proudly South African cloud-based payroll and HR solution. From payroll and e-recruitment to performance management and self-service tools, we streamline the way businesses handle their people. Scalable, secure, and always online, our system evolves with your needs because your workforce deserves the best. Switch to Onacy and experience payroll and HR done right. Visit onacy.com today.
Still shopping around for a saving here and a deal there? Choose Checkers, SA's #1 in value supermarket, and save on deals like Lancewood cheddar or Gouda cheese, 900 grams for $139.99. Surf Fruit 100% fruit juice blend, 1.5 litre, any 2 for 89 rand. And Omo Auto liquid detergent 2 litre or capsules 20 per pack, any 2 for 200 rand. Valid until 7 June, only at Checkers.
The City of Johannesburg Executive Deputy Mayor, Councillor Loiso Masuku, invites you to tune in for the 2026-27 budget speech, theme Building Johannesburg Together, Investing Today, Securing Tomorrow. The budget outlines the city's plans to invest in Johannesburg's future. Watch live on the city's official social media platforms on Wednesday, 27 May at 12:30 p.m.
On Sunday, 26 July, the entire city unites for the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk. Walk the Talk. And because Joburg is more than just a city, we'll be walking for the people. So join us and help make a difference to homelessness in the city by entering on primemediaplus.com and donating vouchers.
Donate the voucher.
Which is a cashless way to give, helping people experiencing homelessness access a hot shower, a meal, a bed, or more support. Anybody can join and everybody can donate. 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, hosted by the City of Johannesburg. Enter and donate now on primemediaplus.com.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
29 after 9. Mandla, you're calling us from Midrand. What do you want to say on Tolashe? Good morning.
Good morning, Clement.
Sure.
You know what, guys? A win is a win. A win is a win. Let's not be analyzing. At least the ANC has done something correct for once. Guys, a win is a win. Thank you, Clement.
Mandla in Midrand, thank you. Maxwell in Pretoria, hi.
Welcome back, Clement. Hi, Clement.
Sure,
and
sure.
I think I'm on the same sentiment, and it's not the first situation that happened. Remember the laptop story in Mpumalanga, Clem, where the department bought a lot of laptop for a lot of money, and the man Ndlovu as a premier acted in that situation. That matter is in court at the moment. So this renewal, Clement, it looks like it's kicking in, it's going on. Honest.
Yeah, that's so funny, Maxwell. It's only kicking in now.
It must be a snail pace, Clement, but let's give the credit when it's due, and thanks for you as well for highlighting that matter. It might look like a small thing, but for us, it is a big situation because at least they're doing something about something that we see, although there are a lot that is still happening the road within the same party, but at least they show that they can see the other side. We have to commend them. It's not easy to do what they've done, to be honest.
Yeah, it's actually against their nature, which is why it's difficult for us to even think of other cases where they've said, we are also going to take action against you in the organization. Normally they would say, no, that's double jeopardy. They use terms like that. And that's why I'm giving them credit now. That's why I said earlier, I give them credit for taking it a step further. Because ordinarily they would just leave it at, well, the president took action against her. What do you want us to do? And maybe, like that listener said, the reason the ANC is acting like this is because this woman has also lied to the organization. So it's not just what she has done as Minister of Social Development, it's also what she has done as the ANC Women's League president, lying about vehicles that she gave to her children and saying, oh, they were a donation to the Women's League. When the Women's League came on this show and said that is not true. Let's get the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. It's 9:31. After the break, we're going to focus on this Pretoria Boys High School. I see your calls coming through, your WhatsApps as well. I'll start with them after the headlines and then at some point bring in the Basic Education Department to understand why they're against these people being expelled, given all this overwhelming evidence. Because I believe this kid is a risk to the pupils and the staff at the schools and must not be allowed even in the premises. Do you think the school has taken the right conclusion here to expel him, or do you think the Education Department is right in that rather expel him for only a 12-month period? Bali, you've got the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. Good morning.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. Migrants who were charged for being in South Africa illegally are amongst the 300 Ghanaians who have gone back home today. The group departed from the OR Tambo International Airport this morning. Their repatriation follows intervention from their government, working together with South African authorities. The case against two men accused of the murder of media personality Warwick Stock will return to the Johannesburg Magistrates Court today. Armidio Pakula and Vincent Magwenya are facing charges including premeditated murder and conspiracy to commit murder. Stock was shot and killed last year outside Zambesi House, a building in the Johannesburg CBD. While Eskom is set to break ground on a new solar project in the Free State as the power utility pushes ahead with its renewable energy campaign. That facility will be built at the Letabo Power Station on more than 160 hectares of Eskom-owned land. The project forms part of Eskom's broader strategy to diversify South Africa's energy mix while reducing reliance on coal. Well, those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 10 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, let's start in Midrand with an accident on Olifantsfontein Road. It happened near Lever Road. It's causing heavy traffic volumes, especially if you're heading towards the N1 exit. While traveling on the M1 South, there are some delays just as you come out of the Greyston Drive off-ramp. If you are traveling in Calvin, do expect delays on the N3 North. There's roadworks along this route, delays between Marlborough Drive and the Baklu interchange. If you are traveling in Germiston, we've got delays on the N3 North between the Earlands interchange and the Geldenhuys interchange. That's due to more roadworks there. While in Bedfordview, there's been an accident on the N12 right near the Gilulis interchange. Delays coming out of Edenville Road. Speaking of accident scenes, we've got more reported in Kempton Park along the R21 North. This one is right near Pomona Road. Delays from Atlas Road. About a 20-minute hold up there. In Boksburg, do expect bumper-to-bumper traffic along the N17 East. This is between the R21 turn off and the R23. That's due to roadworks. I'll have more at the top of the hour.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Real callers, real conversations, real voices. Open Line with Clement Manyathela. Brought to you by True Caller on 702.
It's 25 minutes before 10 o'clock. This is the 702 Open Line. And I've been asking you about Sisisi Tolashe and the actions the ANC seems to be taking against her. So this didn't just stop with President Cyril Ramaphosa firing her as Social Development Minister. But of course, the ANC has asked her to resign as an MP and as the ANC Women's League's president, according to the Sowetan newspaper. But also, an important issue we're having on the show this morning is around this Pretoria boarding school, which is at odds, seemingly, with the Gauteng Department of Education after trying to permanently remove a learner who allegedly threatened a school shooting. So your calls on that as well on 011-883-0702. Let's start with Alette, who is calling us from Pretoria. Alette, I'm told that you're a parent at a Pretoria Boys High. Good morning.
Clement, I'm not a parent at Pretoria Boys High. However, I know the school very well.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Very, very, very well. The school is a beautiful school from the outside. if you, Clement, are looking from where you are seated and you say, this boy, you don't know what's happening. The government, the Department of Education, they've dealt with the school on numerous occasions. And let me tell you, the school governing body, they defend their own. They don't defend the child, the learner. They know exactly why they took that stance, the department, because they've been through many engagements with the school about bullying. The school still keeps the flags of the former, the prior 1994. There's those in the classroom. The history teachers will even take out that flag during lessons. So I don't know what triggered this boy. I don't know the boy. But I know about the school. I know about the incidents that happened at the school. That school governing bodies is full of attorneys, lawyers. You as a parent, when you bring a matter and where the perpetrator has agreed that I did this, I bullied this person over and over again, the attorney, they defend the perpetrator. They come with a mediocre punishment.
Okay, Alex,
So
let's
this
focus on what we're dealing with right now, right?
Yes.
This is what we know about this boy.
Yeah.
He threatened that there's going to be a school shooting and he's going to be responsible for it. He's seen on social media firing live ammunition. He has been talking to people on WhatsApp wanting to buy a gun and saying, let's meet at a petrol station, I'll give you money in return. He's been coming to school smoking weed and high on numerous occasions, even after previously undergoing disciplinary hearings and being taken through corrective measures. I'm sorry, Alet, if there's bullying happening at that school, this is not the only child that's undergoing bullying. But why is he the only one that's threatening violence against the school?
Look at the roots. Look at the root cause. Defend the child. Look at the root cause. What could have caused that?
Okay, but that doesn't justify the actions. So if this kid carries out the shooting, Alet, I'm sorry, you're not going to call and say, oh, we understand why he killed 5 teachers and 10 learners because he was bullied. Would that be your explanation?
Are you sure he's going to do it? Are you sure he's going to do it?
We don't know, and that's precisely the point. That's why we mustn't take that risk.
The department knows they've got psychologists in the department. They sat with this boy. They know. As we're just seeing it, hearing it, and just it's been thrown out of
What does the
proportion.
department know? This guy has gone counseling. This kid, the school took this boy through counseling as part of corrective measures. And even after that, he continued to come to school high and continue to make these threats. What else do you want the school to do?
It will be better if you interview the parent.
And the parent will say what?
Of the matter.
And the parent will say what?
Parent.
You know, as a parent, I don't know if you're a parent, Alet, but I know that most parents, and I'm not a parent myself, but I see with my own parents and other parents, the first instinct is to defend your own child. And in this case, the matter is very clear. Whether the parents come and tell us a different story or not, the matters are clear here. This is what the child has admitted to.
I think this, Clement, something pushed him to the level, to a level where he did that. I don't think he meant it. We're talking about a 16-year-old. That's why I'm saying the psychologists, the parents, everyone needs to get involved.
Okay, so when he tried to buy a gun, did he not mean that as well?
Does he even have the money to buy the gun?
Well, we don't know, but he sent a message.
That's the thing.
Should we ignore it?
We are like, we are just like, because of what he's saying, people now are just jumping and doing this. I'm saying there are psychologists in the school. The department has got their own well-equipped. And I'm not siding with the department. I know they are wrong. But they know the school. You don't know the school. And it's not just a boarding. It's a day school as well.
It's a what?
It's a day school.
Oh, day school. Yeah, I know the school and I know the kind of cases the department has dealt with there. But I suppose in this case, I don't want us to be sent around. I want us to focus on the issue at hand and not all the other cases that have involved the school. In this case, there's a clear case of a child who's unhinged and who clearly, in my view, is a danger to the staff and a danger to his fellow pupils. And action has got to be taken in some way or the other to protect the staff and the peoples. Because I tell you, if this kid, God forbid, carries out a shooting, the department is the one that goes to the families to say, oh, what an unfortunate incident. Then the question we will be asking is, what did you do? What did you do to avoid this huge risk when it was very clear that this kid could carry out and was intending to carry out the attacks? Shimron in Senton, good morning. What are your thoughts?
Morning, Clement. Yeah, it's a very troubling story. As you know, I'm an attorney, and half of my law firm's practice is criminal law. So I also want to look at it from not just the current situation, but I think both parties were wrong and did not handle it properly. Definitely the department, what they did was definitely insufficient. But I'm just looking at it in addition to what Alette said. If you expel the child, and he's the pariah of South Africa. I mean, he's going to go. He's not enjoying this process. I'm pretty sure of that. And then you throw away the key. I can assure you, I'm in the criminal law field. I can assure you, this is his last chance of rehabilitation. And I 100% agree with Alette. You need to involve the parents, because this is not just a problem with him. I do not know his personal situation, but it sounds like the parenting is really just not up to scratch there. And there might be parental problems. I don't know whether there's abuse at home or whatever, but that's usually what's going on. As I said, knowing some of these inmates, I'm quite experienced. So I've known these guys for a long time. It's always the family situation. So what there should have been is family counseling, not just the boy themselves. They need to get in the entire family. They need to suspend this boy for at least 12 months to undergo in-depth, day in, day out as an outpatient at with some psychologists, psychiatrists, a whole army of them with the family. Because I promise you, there is some family problems at home.
Yeah, and look, they did bring in the mom, and apparently the mom told the school that the visuals of him firing live ammunition, that wasn't live ammunition, but the school says we've got evidence that it was live ammunition. But Shimron, I'll bring in the Department of Education just after the break. Thank you so much for your contribution. It's 15 before 10.
The pain of losing a loved one is never easy. It will leave you feeling overwhelmed. At Clientele, we understand that burying loved ones with dignity truly matters. Our funeral plans pay out cash within just 24 hours, and you receive 200 Rand airtime when you claim to make those important calls. Plus, we cover up to 13 people on one plan. SMS funeral to 31586. That's 31586. Clientele Life is an authorized FSP and licensed life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Solve exciting riddles and unravel a web of suspense and adventure with Hollywood bets and Spinners on Kim Mystery Parcel. You stand a chance to win a share of 1 million Rand in cash and bonus bets. Start your quest and bet 2 Rand or more on selected Playtech slots every Wednesday between 2:30 p.m. and 8:30 p.m. and Sunday from 4:30 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. What scintillating secret will your parcel reveal? Bet now. T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
The Rebirth of Ubuntu concert returns for its 5th edition live at Joburg Theatre, 29 and 30 May at 7:30 p.m, celebrating 50 years of youth legacy, featuring Lira, Zoe Mudiga, Vusinova, Tutu Puani, and Jimmy Dludlu, backed by a 20-piece orchestra conducted by Grammy Award winner Joe Arthur, curated and produced by the visionary Billy Munana.
drama. Tickets available at Web Tickets. Proudly supported by Brand South Africa, City of Johannesburg, Arts Alive, 702 and ENCA.
702 family, we value what you think and we want to hear it face to face. On Friday, the 5th of June, we're opening our studio doors yet again to 702 listeners who would like to share their thoughts on the station. Your feedback, your ideas, it all matters to us. Everyone who joins us will get a full studio tour, so come see where the magic happens. If you'd like to join us, send us an email to contact@702.co.za.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
14 minutes before 10 o'clock, Onwabile Lubelwana is the Gauteng Department of Education spokesperson joining us on the line. Onwabile, thanks for making time. Good morning.
Good morning, and thank you to you and the listener at home.
So, where let's start with where the situation is right now with this Pretoria Boys High case. Have you come to some kind of agreement or conclusion with the school?
Thank you very much. Firstly, we want to emphasize that the department condemns in the strongest sense the issuing of threats by Elena or any member of society. And we don't take this thing lightly. But we are out of court. We are dealing with the matter at a private level between the school, the family, the learner, and the department, and all the support required in that space.
Do you still hold the position that this kid must not be expelled for good, but must be expelled for a 12-month period? And what's your reason for that?
Yes. So the department does not believe, even though it agrees that this is a serious offense, it does not believe that the expulsion of a 16-year-old who's doing well academically, who's of school-going age, in terms of the South African Schools Act, should be at school for this specific mistake, should be completely expelled forever. But the department believes there should be deliberate efforts to rehabilitate the behavior of the learner. Professional support in this regard has been deployed. Then I show you remorse, and we believe that this child deserves a chance to continue education.
Is it the first time that this child has behaved in a manner that requires corrective measures? Because my understanding is that already in November 2025, he had been issued a final written warning after testing positive for marijuana and being removed from the school's boarding house. And then there were corrective conditions that were set, which included community service, a 10-page research project on the dangers of drugs, drug testing, psychological counseling, and he was warned explicitly that further misconduct would be referred for formal disciplinary action. So we've been there, Onwabile, where this kid continuously has made transgressions and the school has come in to try find other ways to issue corrective measures, and yet here we are, and now it's getting worse and worse and worse.
Those are measures we are implementing. It's not measures the school has done. It's measures that we are saying in the process of the learner being rehabilitated. Those are the things which must happen. But I want you to observe the approach of MEC Maile on this matter and others similar. MEC Maile believes that education is a public responsibility. Says it takes a village to raise a child. All the necessary support has been deployed to ensure that the teachers are safe in that school, the learners are safe, there's teaching and learning, and matters including bullying and others are not happening, because it's a comprehensive approach of not dealing with just the symptoms of a bigger problem within the system, which is why the department had to consider accountability, safety, the corrective measures, and the rights of the learner at that moment. You know, some of the things you mentioned are not things which were the learner, by the way, was charged with. Are the things that the person acting on behalf of the school invaded the privacy of the learner on the phone. For example, the allegations you have around him purchasing a gun. So there has been deliberate effort to some extent to vilify and demonize this learner. And the MEC and the department believe that it is a young person who has shown remorse, who has apologized, who is doing well in the classroom, who is a prominent rugby player at the same time. So we don't think that this mistake must be the end of this child.
So I get you about the constitutional rights, but constitutional right to education can also be limited by the nature and extent of the misconduct within the school environment. And there's a case in law. In fact, Deacon pointed out in the landmark court ruling, I think it was George Rendell Primary School versus the Department of Education in the Eastern Cape. So in cases where you know that the safety of the pupils, the safety of the learners, it is at risk here, you can intervene as the school to try and protect the staff and the learners. I mean, in this case, Onwabile, this kid has shown remorse before. He has apologized before, and we're still here again. He comes to school, and he is still high on weed. He gets tested positive for marijuana. What else should the school be able to do when it has already implemented some of these corrective measures?
In this instance, we do not really have a comprehensive report of the history, because this child is not like he's having a comprehensive deviant adolescent behavior. There seems to be a pattern with the learner and that specific teacher. And maybe that's something which must be zoomed into. And it is why the department felt like there is no record of separated incidents which are very complex or unique. There seems to be a pattern between that learner and that teacher, and we believe it's something which must be looked at.
It still doesn't justify this kid threatening violence. I'm sorry.
It does not. I agree with you. It does not. But the department has got a view that there is sufficient psycho support services in that school deployed by the department working with that school. The school is not struggling with security. They do have a privately sourced one, and government is making intervention to ensure that the learner is observed in terms of his behavior and action, even in the social.
All right. Honorable Lubelwana, thank you for making time. He speaks on behalf of the Department of Education in the province. What do you think of that?
Your boss noticed. Your ex noticed. The neighbors definitely noticed. Because some cars say, I rented a car. And some cars say, I rented the car. Sani 6 to rent a car. Premium rentals. For people who don't settle. Choose the right car. Rent Sani 6 on sani.co.za.
The world's best male and female paddle players are coming to South Africa. The historic Premier Paddle Pretoria P1 will be at Sunbet Arena Times Square from 26 July to the 2nd of August. Expect world-class action, unbelievable energy, premium hospitality, and an atmosphere unlike anything South African sport has seen before. This is Africa's biggest paddle tournament ever, and tickets are selling fast. Don't miss your chance to witness the sport's biggest stars in South Africa. Get your tickets now at primemediaplus.com. It's another girl.
Families multiply, fees shouldn't. With Ultimate Banking, you get support for every chapter. Get discounted banking for your spouse and give each of your children a head start with a Mega U account. Because as your family grows, your banking should keep up. Apply online. Your story matters. ABSA. Terms and conditions apply. ABSA is an authorized financial services provider.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
5 minutes before 10 o'clock, I want to bring in quickly, and I'll come to your calls now, Dr. Jaco Deacon, who is the CEO at the Federation of Governing Bodies of South African Schools, joining us on the line. Dr. Deacon, thank you for coming in quickly. Good morning.
Yeah, thank you. Good morning. And I had an opportunity to listen to your previous speaker as well, so I would like to respond.
Yes, please respond, because the Department of Education feels like the school has taken quite an extreme measure here, and there are other ways it could deal with this and ensure there's corrective measures and there's rehabilitation.
It was actually shocking to listen to the spokesperson of the department. There is ignorance about the facts of the matter. The bottom line is the department is now reactive in their approach because the school threatened with court action. The school went out of their way to do everything right. Before an SGB can recommend expulsion from a school, they've been through a thorough process on school level. Remember, an expulsion is the last resort available to the school. So all those other steps and all the evidence is already in their file that was presented to the department to say that's the severity, that's what we've done, that's the history of the case. To now say the school must redo that after they've shown it didn't work is absolutely shocking. And number two is the overemphasis on the right of the learner, the individual right of the learner, without also talking about the threats issued towards the educator and towards the other learners. And the SGB has got an obligation to protect the best interest of all the learners in the school. One learner cannot simply take away the constitutional right to education from all the other learners in the class. And you rightfully said there's a limitation to the right to basic education, and it should apply to this specific case.
Dr. Jaco Deacon, thank you I thought we should bring him in so we get the voice also from someone who has been closely monitoring this case with the school. Themba, you are calling us from Pretoria. Are you a parent at the Pretoria Boys High?
Yes, Clement. My son goes to the same school and in the same grade with this same boy.
Yeah.
So I've been questioning my boy about this incident, and apparently this boy has been, from last year, he's been talking about this thing of wanting to do a shoot out at the school. Apparently he's been showing the boys, some of the boys, videos. He's got videos where he's showing them the Glock gun. So this boy does have an access to the gun, and apparently his big brother is the one who's influencing him about gangsterism and stuff. This boy, we are told, he robs people outside the school, wherever, and he even boasts about it, and he even comes to school with Rolex watches. I don't know how, if those are original Rolex watches, but they say he does come with them. And you know what? It's a pity, because we are talking about a boy who's got so much potential, who had a scholarship for rugby, and now it's a pity that this talent might go to waste. So we are very scared now, because, but we are happy that now the school yesterday they sent us a letter to tell us that this boy, for the sake of writing exams, while they're still engaging on this matter, they are now escorting him when he arrives at school to come and write. They escort him from parking to the by security guards to make sure that he's not carrying any weapon, because now the teachers are frightened by this thing. And immediately when he finishes, he leaves the school. So we are saying this boy does not belong to this school. This school has got so much discipline. This boy does not belong there.
Okay, Themba in Pretoria, thank you for calling. It's a minute before 10.
These calls.
No! This was us before. Our dinner time being interrupted by unverified calls. My husband, 5 to being scammed.
Upgrade to Truecaller Premium Family Plan. Protects up to 5 people for just R49.99 per month.
Hubby chooses what to answer, and auntie knows what's real. Bese mina, I get my peaceful family dinner time.
Truecaller. Trust the real ones. Available on the Play Store and the App Store.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable. You receive up to 745,000 rand worth of legal services per year. Our range of plans include cover for you, your spouse, children, and extended family. Plans include cover for civil, criminal, and labor-related matters. Whether it's protection orders, gender-based violence, uncontested divorce, or poor service, your Clientele Legal lawyer will be there to assist you. Our services are convenient. Simply pick up the phone and call your lawyer, or send us an email and we'll get back to you. All plans include a bail benefit of up to 5,000 rand, and we'll go to the police station and pay it for you. Plus, Clientele Legal offers you 24-hour telephonic legal advice. SMS Legal to 48721. That's legal to 48721. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Gauteng is currently experiencing high water consumption. To avoid water interruptions, residents are urged to use water sparingly to allow equitable supply. Act now. Save water. Every drop counts. This message is brought to you by the Department of Water and Sanitation, Rand Water, Gauteng Provincial Government, City of Johannesburg, City of Tshwane, and City of Ekurhuleni.
The Johannesburg Philharmonic Orchestra's Winter Symphony Season, featuring masterpieces by Beethoven, Tchaikovsky, and more, is sure to exhilarate music lovers. Concerts take place on Thursday evenings from 4 to 25 June at the Linda Auditorium. Tickets available at Quicket.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Bali Dlamini. Migrants who were charged for being in South Africa illegally are amongst the 300 Ghanaians who have gone back home today. The group departed from the OR Tambo International Airport this morning. Their repatriation follows intervention from their government working with South African authorities. It comes as tensions continue to rise over illegal migration in the country, which has resulted in widespread protests. Ghana's High Commissioner to South Africa, Benjamin Kwashi, says those who faced charges were being held at the Lindela Repatriation Center in Krugersdorp.
We had about 62 children. We had 97 women, and then the rest had to do with the men. The other thing is that we also decided to take some of our immigration prisoners that were at Lindela. So we added a number of 26 of them who had immigration-related offences come with this first batch.
The case against two men accused of the murder of media personality Warwick Stock will return to the Johannesburg Magistrates Court today. Armindo Pakula and Vincent Magwenya are facing charges including premeditated murder and conspiracy to commit murder. Stock was shot and killed last year outside Zambesi House, which is a building in the Johannesburg CBD. Jabuli Limbata reports.
It has been 5 months since the two men were arrested in connection with the murder of Warwick Stock, popularly known as DJ Warris. Stock was contracted to audit and secure the residential building, Zambezi House, where he was shot and killed in December last year. The two suspects, Mozambican national Armindo Pakula and taxi boss Vincent Magwenya, will return to court today for disclosure of further investigation. Pakula faces an additional charge of being in the country illegally. During their previous appearance in April, the state said it still needed to complete facial comparison, obtain financial records, and access cell phone data. Jabuli Limbata, Eyewitness News, Johannesburg Magistrates Court.
Western Cape High Court Judge Mushtaq Parker will be allowed to make oral representations to Parliament's Justice Committee as to why he should not be impeached. It's the first time the committee has accepted such a request from a judge facing impeachment. Yesterday, MPs agreed that his case was not clear-cut and could have an impact on confidence in the judiciary. Lindsay Dentlinger has more.
The Judicial Services Commission found Judge Parker guilty of gross misconduct in October last year after he provided conflicting reports about an alleged physical altercation between him and former Judge President John Hlophe, who was impeached by Parliament in 2024. While the details of Parker's medical reports were not publicly shared, MPs intimated that a brain tumour may have impacted Parker's conduct in 2019. DA MP Glynis Breitenbach said Parker's case was a very serious matter with potentially major repercussions.
This is a judge who's been sitting on the bench for some time. He's heard matters. What are the implications of this on those matters? There's a whole can of worms here waiting to be opened.
The ANC's Oscar Matafa agreed, saying while he did not think the committee should reconsider the case, it had to determine whether the sanction is fair. Committee chairperson Xola Nqola said Parliament did not want to create the impression that it has a butcher's knife for judges. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
Eskom is set to break ground on a new solar project in the Free State as the power utility pushes ahead with its renewable energy campaign. The facility will be built at the Letabo Power Station. The project forms part of Eskom's broader strategy to diversify South Africa's energy mix while reducing reliance on coal. Mongezi Koko reports.
The Letabo Power Station has been part of South Africa's electricity network for decades. Its first unit commissioned in the mid-1980s. The site is better known for its coal-fired operations, but it will also become home to a mega solar installation. The project will include a 4.5-kilometer power line linking the facility to the grid, with Eskom describing it as a key step towards a more sustainable energy future. The official sod turning ceremony is expected to get underway this morning. Monke Zikoko, Eyewitness News in the Free State.
And 10 Indian sailors detained in Iran on their oil tanker since July last year have been released. It follows what India's shipping authorities describe as intensive diplomatic efforts. AFP reports that while India maintains long-standing diplomatic and energy ties with Iran, it also balances close relations with both the United States and Israel. Iranian authorities frequently announce the seizure of vessels in the Gulf, accusing them of illegally transporting fuel. Gold is trading at $4,483.26 an ounce. The rand is at 16.36 to the dollar, 22.01 to the pound, 19.03 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $97.77 a barrel.
Traffic remains heavily backed up in Kempton Park along the R21 north. This is between Atlas Road and Pomona Road. That's due to that accident. Do expect about a 20-minute hold up there. While traveling in Calvin, do expect heavy traffic volumes as well on the N3 north between Marlborough Drive and the Kilulis interchange.
A fine Wednesday in store for Gauteng today. Temperatures will peak at highs of between 20 and 23 degrees. The top story in EWN, migrants who were charged for being in South Africa illegally are amongst the 300 Ghanaians who have gone back home today.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
Visit primemediaplus.com to enter 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk. Hosted by the City of Johannesburg. Walk with the people, for our Josie.
For Joburg, by Joburg, in Joburg.
Bamise bonke.
You're with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
Let's Walk the Talk, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7 and 106 FM.
Eight minutes after 10 o'clock. Dumelang, welcome to the second hour of the Clement Manyathela Show. So I'm seeing there are some messages coming on the WhatsApp line that are trying to racialize this matter at the Pretoria Boys High. Some people are asking, is the teacher white and the learner is black? Someone else was saying to me that, Clement, you will always keep your job with that thinking, the lack of compassion on black children. This has got nothing to do with the race of this child. In fact, the first time I read the story, I didn't even care about the race of the child. It only came out much later. What matters is that we know that the behavior of this child, whether this child is black or is white, is unacceptable. And for some people who think because they are so convinced that this child in question may be black and the teacher may be white, then there is some racial tension that exists there, and that's something we must somehow zoom into. I think that's flawed. I think this kid was wrong in his behavior. There are many children who are being bullied at school, many children who are facing tough situations at home. They don't come to school and threaten violence. And I'm not suggesting that we shouldn't focus on what the root causes could be of this kid smoking weed even after he has been warned, or him threatening violence and talking about it so openly that there's going to be a school shooting and he's going to be responsible. But we've got to think also about the rights of the other learners in the school, the rights of the other teachers in the school, and not just be obsessed about his own individual right to education. And that's just the point that I'm making. I think if you have gone through so many processes as a school to ensure there are corrective measures and you've given this kid an opportunity countless times to do better, and we are at a point where he's even threatening violence because he's clearly unhappy with what you have done to try and get him to account, then we're in trouble. And I worry that because we're trying to find all sorts of justifications, oh, maybe he's being bullied, or maybe at home there's a situation. Sure, we can focus on that, but that does not excuse his behavior. And to even attempt to racialize this, I think is quite ridiculous. WhatsApps are coming on 0727021702. Let me just wrap up with some of your WhatsApp voice notes before we move to our next conversation.
Shocklem, I know this spokesperson is the boys' spokesperson, no, not the department spokesperson. And he says we must zoom in on the relationship between the learner and the teacher. I think what we need to zoom in is the relationship between this boy and the department, or someone in the department.
Thank you for addressing very important topics on your news. Yes, it's very worrying to hear about this boy who is threatening and so on. And it is something that young people maybe talk about carelessly and so on. But I think we have to consider the rights of the other children and the rights of the teachers. And it sounded like the department person was almost like, blaming the whole thing on the teacher, starting to say, oh, it's a relationship between this boy and his teacher. I know teachers can sometimes be petty and irritating and so on, but we have to think of, the other people involved. They've also got rights.
Hi, Clement. Alex here. So now, from what I can gather, from what Timber just said, so this boy has already achieved like what he really wants, notoriety and fame. I mean, being escorted from the parking lot to the classes and out, and everyone being scared of him. So already it's grown, and as soon as that wears off, he will do something to regain that notoriety, because I think there's a deep psychological problem that's in there, and it does not really belong into that school. I think the school has made the right call. They should just get rid of him. Thank you. Cheers. Bye.
Good morning, Clement. Clement, I understand you want to talk about the boy and how it's not right, but what is the reason that that boy wants to bring a gun to school and shoot people? Nobody just wakes up and wants to bring a gun to school. He's frustrated. Something's happening to him. And I'm not saying it's right that he wants to do that, but I'm saying also maybe it's a plea for help. Maybe he's crying out for help, He didn't ask to be in that school. His parents took him to that school, and his parents probably don't know what is happening to him in that school, and they probably aren't listening to him when he pleads for their help, Clement, this story reminds me of that boy that went to Home Affairs with a gun. Yes, what he did was wrong, and imagine if everybody went and took a gun to Home Affairs because they couldn't get their ID. But he's being frustrated by a system. It's the system that's frustrating him. If we fix the system, then people won't be rocking up to Home Affairs with guns. So that boy, we should look at the reason why he's doing that, and not just because he said he wants to get a gun. There's a lot of racism in those schools, Clement.
Yeah, but the school has already done that. There was a psychologist that they got for this boy. They did. There was a time when they even said to this boy, you must do like a 10-page presentation, a research project on the dangers of drugs. They tried to make him undergo drug testing. They provided psychological counseling. All these steps were taken by the school in trying to understand what could be the driving force behind this behavior. What else do you want the school to do? If this kid, God forbid, carries out the shooting, there are teachers who die, there are peoples who die, are we going to care about the reasons why he did it? Because that's where the conversation is moving to, right? Let's focus on what are the reasons. And I'm saying, of course we should. And the school has already done that. If he kills the teachers and the peoples and he carries out on this threat, are we going to care about why he did that? It's 15 after 10.
You can become a victim of a legal problem: wrongful arrest, assault, uncontested divorce, rental disputes, maintenance matters, or labor problems. It can happen to you. Clientele Legal provides tough professional lawyers for an affordable monthly premium. Our legal team is standing by to assist you 24 hours a day. Join today. SMS Legal to 48721. That's legal to 48721. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
More chances to play, more chances to win. That's the future of Lotto. Introducing Multiplay. For the first time ever, you're not limited to just 6 numbers, but 7 lucky numbers. With Multiplay, you can pick 7 numbers, and if you only get 6 correct, you still win. That means more combinations. A new chapter begins with Sizekaya. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. The National Lottery is operated by Sizekaya from the 1st of June 2026.
Gauteng is currently experiencing high water consumption. To avoid water interruptions, residents are urged to use water sparingly to allow equitable supply. Act now, save water. Every drop counts. This message is brought to you by the Department of Water and Sanitation, Rand Water, Gauteng Provincial Government, City of Johannesburg, City of Tshwane, and City of Ekurhuleni.
You're with Clement Manyathela.
702. Let's walk the talk.
17 minutes after 10 o'clock. So we speak to the International Relations Minister now, Ronald Lamola, who believes that diplomatic pressure over the xenophobic tensions here in SA and all the responses we've seen from other countries on the continent is partly coordinated to undermine South Africa. As you know, there are about 800 Ghanaian expected to leave South Africa today. So what engagements has the minister had with his counterparts on the continent, and what assurances has he made to them? I pre-recorded a conversation with the minister before we went live this morning because he was going to be in a cabinet meeting. Here's how that went. Minister, thank you so much for joining us. Good morning.
Yes, good morning. How are you, Clement?
I'm good. So how are you dealing with the diplomatic outcry from some African countries over the xenophobic attacks here in South Africa?
Yeah, thank you, Clement. As you are aware, we had the budget booked yesterday, and we have had engagements with our counterparts, some in the continent, on this matter, where we have explained the ongoing situation in South Africa of some sporadic protests against foreign nationals, particularly of African descent, that we are one of the highest receiving countries in the continent, and we are therefore duty-bound to enforce immigration laws that will be enforced by the police, border management, and labor inspectors, and not private citizens. But they have said that some of their nationals have decided to voluntarily repatriate to their own home countries, which our authorities are assisting and supporting the process.
Oh, okay. And do you know if the about 800 or so Ghanaians who were expected to leave this morning are still going to do so? Is this still part of the plan?
Yeah, it is part of the plan of the Ghanaian government to repatriate all Ghanaians that are voluntarily leaving, and that list of 800 is what they say they currently have. But obviously, it will not happen on the same period. It will be a staggered approach. I think from there we will see how far they are able to go.
Okay, and what happens though if those that are leaving were also here illegally? Would you be able to determine that, and what would be the course of action?
Yes, and that's why I've said they are working with the border management authority to verify the status. They've got the status of each and every individual that is leaving, and I believe you can talk to them. They can be able to answer directly who is there, what are the numbers of those that are legal and those that are illegal, and what is the course of action.
Do you believe that the reaction we have seen from some of the countries on the continent are meant to, they're sort of part of the coordinated and calculated move to undermine South Africa?
Yeah, some of it is we can't exclude any other possibility. But we as government have to work with the facts before us, and that is the list that we have received. And we are supporting the processing of it. And as you are aware, the South Africa case against Israel in the courts, the president has said it many times that it will not go without challenges, even domestically. So we cannot exclude any other possibility, but we will continue to work with what is in front of us.
Yeah, but is there evidence that suggests that any of these countries have raised concerns about South Africa's actions in the ICJ, which would make you think that maybe part of the issue here is the genocide case against Israel at the ICJ?
Yeah, at this stage, we really cannot respond to that, except to say that if you look at a country like Ghana, in their own domestic laws, they've got laws that preserve certain parts of the economy to only Ghanaian nationals. And also, it is also one of the countries, not only in Ghana, but in some parts of the continent, where there was also a spread of fake news that, in fact, there are Ghanaian nationals that have been murdered in South Africa, and during this wave of protest, and we have verified, we found that there was no such a murder. It has never happened. So really, sometimes the spread of fake news does impact negatively on the country.
But are there concerns, though, these countries, Minister, not legitimate, though? I mean, their citizens are under attack here. You would be equally concerned as the South African government if there were fringe groups attacking your citizens in other countries.
That's why we have agreed with the issue of voluntary repatriation that they are undertaking. And we have said, indeed, there are attacks that are valid, that are happening, that needs to be attended to. And you will remember, Clement, we have also condemned such attacks, that there should be no private citizen who takes the law into their own hands, looking for passports and IDs, whether you are a South African or a foreign national. Such things should never happen in a constitutional democracy. That should only be reserved for the state. And it should only be the task of the state. And that is the reason why we've said law enforcement have got the authority and the power to enforce the law with regards to irregular or illegal immigration. That should be the preserve of the state. So, but if such issues do happen and occur, they do need engagement that is matured, that is diplomatic, that is also based on facts and evidence.
I see the president plans to place the Continental Migration Compact at the African Union to table it. Is it time to have a conversation, an honest conversation with our fellow African countries about the economic and security factors that are driving migration to South Africa?
Yes, it is. And we, as you have already stated, we are the highest receiving country in the continent in terms of irregular migration. So we have to deal with all the issues, the pull and push factors, the country of first origin and the country of first entry of safety. All those issues are part of international conventions with regards to migration. So those are issues that will have to be engaged at the multilateral level, at the continental level. But also, we also have to engage on our own at the SADC level with regards to issues of regional integration, economic growth, and cross-border trade, because what we are dealing with is an economic situation. If our economy is growing at 1%, we need the market in the SADC region. We need the market through the Africa Free Trade Area to continue to grow the market. And when you look into the opportunities into the Africa Free Trade Area, with about 1.3 billion people, it's a tremendous opportunity that we need to build on, including the issues of infrastructure and so forth. And we also have to continue to engage on issues of peace and security in the continent that also contribute to this. There are also other issues which are beyond anyone, but we can deal with the mitigating factors like issues of climate change.
Yeah, and speaking of peace and security and some of the pull factors, I think there are conditions sometimes that lead to these migrants coming to South Africa that are happening in their home countries. So those are the push factors. And I really think, and let me know what you think, Minister, I think we have failed as South Africa to condemn even some actions in our neighboring countries that lead to people leaving to come here. We didn't condemn Zimbabwe after countless disputed elections and human rights abuses. We continue to side with Robert Mugabe, and we continue to side now with his predecessor. So it doesn't help for us to employ quiet diplomacy and look the other way when there are problems in our brother and sister nations, because ultimately when things worsen, likely like they did in Zimbabwe, we bear the brunt.
South Africa has participated in the SADC processes and hold all countries at SADC accountable with regards to the SADC protocols. And we as South Africa also are held to those standards by SADC when we hold our own elections. So all those issues are issues that are discussed at the SADC level. And South Africa has contributed a lot to deal with regional stability. As you are aware, in the Eastern DRC, in Mozambique, we have contributed to a SADC a platform of finding peace and stability. As we speak now, we are contributing about $5 million to the fight against Ebola, to the Africa CDC, and our contribution on science across the continent in the SADC region is measurable.
But what have we done in Zimbabwe after so many disputed elections and also human rights abuses?
We have contributed through the SADC platform, Clement. It's not a bilateral issue, and that's why I'm saying at the SADC level, South Africa continues to contribute to hold all those are responsible and all countries accountable. They do the same with us when we hold elections. We do the same with all SADC countries through the observer missions and through the processes of SADC.
Are you able to give us at least one example of accountability against Zimbabwe?
We have, Clement, if you remember, there was a period with regards to the pre-elections period and in Zimbabwe with regards to the voters' roll. That SADC was very clear that the voters' roll must be released to all the participants of the elections in Zimbabwe, and that was part of the proactive action. So there has been a number of examples where countries of SADC have held each other accountable.
Part of the reason, in fact, let me now jump to some of your colleagues in cabinet, because some of your cabinet colleagues are not helping the situation. Your fellow cabinet minister, Gayton McKenzie, has continued with his populist rhetoric on immigration. I see he also claimed, without evidence, that foreign nationals make up the majority of the workforce in the Western Cape's hospitality sector. So some of these comments just add to the rhetoric that fuels the same xenophobia that you and I are talking about this morning.
Yeah, that's why we have called for responsible engagement. The concerns are real, they are valid, but they need evidence-based stats, and they must be restrained and responsible engagements to attend to this issue. Inflammatory rhetoric will not help us resolve the problem. Instead, it will inflame it. But we need to be responsible. We need to attend to the issue. And that's why the security cluster, as you have heard them, they are now working with the law enforcement agencies and all the other stakeholders responsible to deal with the data, to deal with the information, and to be able to enforce the law. Because we, as the South African government, are not saying there should be lawlessness. We are saying the law must be enforced, but must be enforced by the relevant authorities.
All right. Minister, thank you so much for making time for us.
Thank you very much, Clement.
That takes us to exactly 10:30. Time for the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. Mbali, hi.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. The case against two men accused of the murder of media personality Warwick Stock is back in the Johannesburg Magistrates Court today. Armindo Pakula and Vincent Magwenya are facing charges including premeditated murder and conspiracy to commit murder. Stock was shot and killed last year outside Zambesi House, a building in the Joburg CBD. Now, it has been revealed that officials suspended for using AI to craft the country's national artificial intelligence policy used it to translate information and to edit the document that was found to be mostly fake. Communications Minister Soli Malatsi says the two officials were put on precautionary suspension for failing to declare their use of AI on that policy, which has since been withdrawn. While in South Korea, Samsung Electronics workers have accepted a deal with the company following a major pay dispute. The deal secures massive annual bonuses for the workers, averting a major strike. Under the agreement, around 78,000 employees will each be eligible to receive a bonus of roughly $370,000 this year. Well, those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 11 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Traveling in Kempton Park, we still have got heavy traffic volumes on the R21 North. This is between Atlas Road and Pomona Road. There's also queuing traffic reported on the N3 North on between Marlborough Drive and the Baklu interchange. That's due to roadworks along that route. There's also queuing traffic along the M2 West between Harderbeck Road and the Crown Turnoff. Also, that's due to roadworks. And then if you're heading towards the Joburg CBD, expect heavier traffic volumes on the M1 North right as you approach the double-decker section. Traffic lights are still out of order in Rand Park Ridge at the N1 North and Bears Nadia Drive, as well as in Woodmead at Woodlands Drive and Woodmead Drive. More updates at the top of the hour. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Calling on all aspiring radio stars. This June, 7:02 afternoons with Relebohile Mabotja is bringing back Youth Takeover Thursdays. If you or someone you know dreams of being on air as a talk show host, a newsreader, traffic reporter, or sports presenter, we want to hear from you. A select few will shadow the team, go live on 7:02, and walk away with a professional demo. Email 702afternoons@702.co.za with your details. The role, a short motivation, and a 1-minute demo. Applications close on the 29th of May.
The City of Johannesburg Executive Deputy Mayor Councillor Loiso Masuku invites you to tune in for the 2026-27 budget speech, theme Building Johannesburg Together, Investing Today, Securing Tomorrow. The budget outlines the city's plans to invest in Johannesburg's future. Watch live on the city's official social media platforms on Wednesday, 27 May at 12:30 p.m.
If you're CEO or CFO looking to grow across Africa, then the next 60 seconds are for you. Because in that short time, one bank in Africa will process over 300 million rand. That's 430 billion rand every day. Right now, we have 17.7 trillion rand of the continent's assets under custody management, making us far and away the largest bank by assets in Africa. Which is why in 2025, we were voted Best Bank for Corporates in Africa at the Euro Money Awards for Excellence. So, if you're looking for a bank with scale, we're easy to find. We're in 21 key markets across Africa, and we've been on the continent for 163 years, so we are not going anywhere. Standard Bank Corporate and Investment Banking. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Mzansi, Takealot's senior cards, and boy have you been shopping. To say thank you for all your support, we're bringing you the Thanks a Lot sale. Get up to 60% off must-have beauty, sports gear, latest tech, TV and appliances, everyday essentials, toys and more. To know you is to spoil you. Shop the Takealot Thanks a Lot sale from 25 May to 7 June.
Not every change feels like a choice. Some arrive as disruption. Shift Happens with Richard Sutton is a podcast about those moments where life moves first and you have to catch up.
When certainty disappears, direction blurs, and everything familiar starts to shift. You'll hear stories from people who faced change, doubt, and pressure and found a way forward. Their stories give us confidence. Living vicariously through their experience gives us hope, and we learn from their journeys. Because what feels like an ending is often the beginning of something else. Shift happens weekly on primemediaplus.com, the Prime Media Plus app, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Powered by First Light, therapeutics for the modern mind.
You're with Clement Manyathela.
702.
It's 24 minutes now before 11 o'clock. So this conversation we're having now, of course, ahead of the local government elections, I think is key in helping us understand the three different spheres of government and what responsibilities are apportioned to each of these spheres of government. There are always questions being asked about provinces and municipalities and whether they have enough autonomy, whether the national government sometimes exercises too much control, and what the consequences of this misalignment are. I mean, our government is divided, as you know, into the national, provincial, local governments, each with their own constitutional powers, responsibilities, and areas of authority. And these three spheres of government are autonomous. But in terms of Chapter 3 of the Constitution, they have to work together and coordinate things such as budgets, policies, and activities, particularly those that cut across all the spheres. But then, as we have seen over the years, tensions sometimes emerge around overlapping powers, around service delivery failures, political disputes, and funding challenges. So joining us on the line to guide us through this conversation is Dr. Kagiso Poe, who is an associate professor and public policy specialist with Wits School of Governance, joining us on the line. And I'm happy to take your calls as well if you want to join this conversation on 011-883-0702. WhatsApp's on 072-702-1702. Dr. Poe, thank you so much for making time for us. Good morning.
Hi, good morning, Clement. Thanks for having me.
So we've got this three-sphere system of government instead of a centralized state. Based on your observation, has it worked well for us, or is there still misalignment?
Oh, that's a big one. Look. I think it's worked reasonably well, given the fact that, and obviously this is me. My interpretation has always taken the position that, look, I think the three is a bit much. I think we really, especially if you bring in province into that, they have to remember that provincial. The reason why we have provinces, it was a political decision rather than one of purely administrative function. Here we have to speak about the negotiations that happened, and especially the Western Cape and KwaZulu-Natal. So given that one can say the provincial layer of government is more of an imposition into how things work administratively, you're bound to have some, I say problems. I think you rightly said that sometimes there's confusion over, when we speak about who does what, it's normally termed Schedule 4 or 5 responsibilities. Here we're speaking about who does water, who does roads, who does, those types of functions. And when you have this type of three layers, this three-sphered system, you're bound to have some tensions. So I think for what it was, it makes sense. But I think a better way I like to put forward is, I think we are coming to a point where we have to ask the question to say, look, we know what national does, and we kind of know what local government does quite well or doesn't do well. So it's a question of saying, do we really need to maybe reconsider where province fits into this? Because even when you read the Constitution, province does a lot of, it's interpreted, it has a relationship between both these spheres of national and local. But then the question is asked in terms of functionality, what if we simply did away with province and said, listen, some of the key human capital we need to run local government could actually be sourced from provinces, and the capital we're putting into provinces could actually do better at local government level. So for now, I think there has been necessary tensions owing to the fact that it was a political decision. But as we go forward, I think there does need to be questions about whether we should really not just go to a two-tier system, which is to say we have national and local government, because provinces, one can say that serve their purposes, and that we're not an outright federal state, as the Constitution puts out. And now we need to really ask, in terms of functionality and better doing administration, does it not make sense now to simply have a national and local government?
Yeah. How much autonomy does each sphere has, though? Because I'm wondering if the system strikes the right balance between national unity and provincial or local autonomy.
Well, I think the key word I like to use here is the terms distinctive and interdependent. And here you speak about issues of intergovernmental relations and where it comes in. And it's not always been a great thing. And look, it also maybe speaks to the point that when there's a common one which has been popping up a lot, and it's something which I don't think they quite foresaw that this was going to be the issue. For instance, where local governments, and I think this was possibly the case a lot of the times with a lot of the Western Cape municipalities and also the provinces, where, look, when you speak about who does economic development, well, on paper, it's a clear thing, which is national sets the agenda for what we mean by economic development, as in the ability to, do anything that kind of, I'd say, puts unemployment in a place where it's a more positive. So that means you need to go raise funds, that you need to speak to business. Now, what happens when this business is in Taiwan? When national government has a particular stance on what we mean by Taiwan, which is we recognize the People's Republic of China, which is mainland China, and mainland China says Taiwan is a province of China. It's a renegade province, as they put it. Yet when you from the Western Cape, either as provincial government or as a municipality, go to Taiwan, you are kind of recognizing it as a state by itself. So it creates its own tension. So it's things like that which I don't think the crafters of the Constitution foresaw. So sometimes you see those tensions. Or when it comes to issues of schooling, right? In as much as it's a national thing, sometimes province will step into that because they've got some allocation. It's the same thing with health. So those tensions come out because, look, I don't think many of them foresaw how it was going to go. And I said the imposition of provinces being political meant that it was like, you know what, we're making the decision as a political thing. We'll see it down the road. But a lot of these things are coming up more when the state is becoming politically more fragmented, right? Which is to say there is no outright power. What happens when national is a coalition? How do provinces, how does local government interpret that? So these tensions are political by their very nature, and maybe that's where I think it becomes a bit problematic. But then the key question you're asking is, has intergovernmental relations worked? And for this, one might say it's not really worked to the levels that we needed it, because there's a presumption within it which says, oh no, look, national will always reflect what provincial and sometimes what local government looks like. And that has always been an issue where political parties by themselves will sort that out so that it doesn't become a tension.
Yeah.
But as it comes to services, as it comes to the budget cycle, it's becoming more pronounced. And we can then say that, listen, intergovernmental relations is a speciality which is quite lacking, and it's not really working 100% the way it was supposed to.
Yeah. And of course, there are instances where there are challenges at local government, and you've got national government that sometimes tries to intervene. So does national government have power over struggling provinces and municipalities, like oversee service delivery failures at provincial and municipal levels?
It does, but it normally has to go through processes. For instance, the popular one that many people now see is the issue of when municipalities get put under administration. But if you look at the way the process is supposed to go, there's provincial legislation which kind of dictates and kind of gives direction to say, listen, you first start at that level, and then it's supposed to go to national. But because of the politics more than anything else, sometimes you find that national government, I mean, that's why you have places like the NSCOP, they come into existence, will say, listen, we're fingering this as a problem from the outset. But really, the proper channels to have gone was to say, listen, within provincial structures, within provincial legislation, the same legislation exists when you can put a municipality under administration. Why did you not follow those ones? Why did it need to come from at the top? And maybe a distinction here should be made, and maybe this is where lawmakers sometimes themselves don't understand it, which is to say, when we talk about distinctive and interdependent, those words are trying to say that, listen, while we recognize that many things happen at national is not this thing that sits at the top, which is so distinctive, which is so above everything else. And that's why this relationship sort of recognizes that. But when you put hard laws into it and you put politics into it, what we end up having is that we say there's national, which is so set apart. But that's not necessarily the case, is that if we had followed intergovernmental relations policies and legislation, we'd actually see it's supposed to be a cooperative relationship where, listen, eventually, yes, things will get to national because that's where the first comes from. But these two actors, these two spheres also have needed to be brought into it. And again, I think it's more of the politics where, look, South Africa is national heavy. Even our politics is national heavy, and we've not always gone through it the right way. Hence, sometimes you get a lot of these legal cases that pop up where it's questions of interpretation, and it becomes a bit longer than it's supposed to be. So I don't think it's been quite inculcated into the politics of the country that national doesn't mean that national is far removed or bigger than provincial and local government. It just means that we're not using the mechanisms in the appropriate places.
Yeah, I mean, local government is often described as the sphere that's closest to the people, right? And yet, as you say, sometimes there's frustration from residents, communities who march to the mayor's office or the municipality. They're complaining about certain issues that are within the ambit of national government. And we've heard other provinces also push for some greater control over certain sectors. Could that work, sort of deal and ensure some sort of balance where you give provinces greater control over sectors, whether it's policing or, because they're managing health, they're managing education services, but there are other sectors that probably would help in the delivery of services if they are within the responsibility of provinces or local government.
No, that's a good one. I think the key one you're speaking about there is the Western Cape and the issues of policing and the like. Look, this is where I have to make this clear. One is not a lawyer. I'm more into the policy, and the way I've always interpreted it is to say, I guess it's the way one asks the question, right? And the way the Western Cape has asked the question, they've made it more of a federal issue. And as I stated in the beginning, South Africa is not a federated state. It's very clear. It's a sphere. There's national, there's provincial, and there's local government. So I guess the way they've asked it, it's always been in line with the key question of saying we're asking it as a federal, which is not how the Constitution reads it. And I think that's where things are sort of broken down, which is to say you cannot ask it as though you're demanding that we're a federal state. We're not a federal state. And so that's where I think it's the first problem has always come from, and that's how national has always interpreted. Now, would it work? Yes, if, and this is a key provider which no one really wants to speak about, if we can also then account for, okay, how do we then do the budgetary? How do we split the budget? Because if you're saying, listen, you are Province X, so that we don't impugn anyone. If you're Province X, we want the police, we want to be able to do X and Y. The next logical question to ask is, we get that, but how are we now going to do the division? The division of revenue. How are we now going to account for the fact that, look, you have some powers in terms of how you set police aside, even legislatively, how you appoint, how you do that. That's fine, but then we're going to have to ask the question, where does the budget come from? The budget ultimately will come from national treasury. So then the question would ask, and this is what maybe other provinces who've got more money and more population, like Gauteng, would say, but look, if you're then doing that, and you're asking for a bigger size in terms of saying you want your own police force, you want to be able to pay them, then with Gauteng would ask the key question, but look, looking at our population, looking how much we're putting into the division of revenue, which is larger than all the other provinces, then can we not maybe start asking for certain set-asides? And so it kind of creates its own cycle of, yes, you're asking for a rightful thing, which is policing is supposed to be close to people. There are certain uniquenesses in each province about policing. But once you ask that question, it almost then opens a can of worms about other things. And
Dr. Boer? I think we've lost him there. Okay, we'll try and see if we can re-establish that line with Dr. Kagiso Boer so we can wrap up our conversation. It's 10 minutes now before 11 o'clock. Feel free to join the conversation. Do you think that provinces and municipalities have enough autonomy? Do you think national government sometimes exercises too much control? Give us a call on 011-883-0702 or send a WhatsApp on 072-702-1702. How do we fix the seemingly misalignment?
Some say the squeaky wheel gets the grease. Well, sometimes it gets the grease, sometimes it gets replaced. Generic guidance only fits a few situations. That's why Momentum accredited financial advisors take the time to understand you and only then apply their expertise. Advice meets your context. Momentum, your journey to success. Momentum is part of Momentum Group Limited, an authorized financial services and registered credit provider.
When tax issues get complex, you need more than general advice. You need specialist insight. AJM turns intricate tax challenges into clear strategic solutions. From disputes and litigation to long-term planning, our expertise protects what matters to you and your business. With teams in Cape Town, Johannesburg, and Namibia, we deliver the rigorous analysis high-stakes decisions demand. AJM. Complex tax matters simply resolved.
Tax deadlines don't have to result in penalties. With the 31 May employer submission deadline approaching, avoid lastminute.com. Submit your accurate employer reconciliation declaration, EMP 501, on time using EasyFile or e-filing. Employers, make your tax matters your priority number one. Submit by 31 May 2026. Go to sars.gov.za. SARS, at your service.
Joburg is more than just a city. It's an energy, a pulse, and a feeling connecting everybody. The heart of Mzansi.
It's Joburg.
In celebration of this, 702 has partnered with Jozi My Jozi, and we're calling on you to walk through the city center with us.
Walk the talk.
In the 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk. Babize bonke. On Sunday, 26 July, we're going to the iconic Joburg CBD, the home of dream creators and operators, where we dominate and history make. So join us and be a part of something special.
I'm ready to rock this book.
Because when Joburg walks together, extraordinary things happen. Enter now on primemediaplus.com and get ready for 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk this July, hosted by the City of Johannesburg. Walk with the people, for the people, for our Jozi. Babize bonke. Enter Walk the Talk now on primemediaplus.com.
In today's economic climate, many South Africans are feeling the pressure of managing their money more effectively. FNB is stepping in with My Advisor, a smart new tool on the FNB app designed to help you make better financial decisions every day. Catch 702 in conversation with FNB this Thursday on 702 Drive with John Pellman as Esther Osher, integrated advice product head at FNB, unpacks how personalized insights can help you take control of your spending, saving and planning. Don't miss it on 702.
702.
The Clement Manyathela Show.
Let's walk the talk.
It's 7 minutes before 11 o'clock. Let me take some calls on 011-883-0702 around this conversation we've been having about the different spheres of government and whether there's misalignment and how do we even fix it. We're preparing for the local government elections, and sometimes the confusion that some citizens have around the spheres of government and which sphere is responsible for which services, sometimes that confusion about the responsibilities affects accountability during elections. Koketso, you are calling us from the East Rand. What are your thoughts? Good morning.
Yes, morning, Clement. I think for me, the misalignment happens at the implementing aspect, right? So the implementing aspect is between the province and the municipalities. So I'll give you a typical example. I mean, with us there by the village, we've been trying to get a road built inside the village, leading from the main road, from the from the regional route. But the issue that we have now is that you always taken from pillar to post between the province and the municipality, because the province will say this is not our competency, this is for the municipality to do. Then the municipality will say, and it's literally the same stretch of road leading into one village. So my thing is that I think they need to look at, if they're going to streamline that, do away with either the municipalities and keep the provinces, or do away with the provinces and keep the municipalities. Because I feel like in that's where citizens get caught up, where you stand from pillar to post and there's no accountability. And this is just the basic thing where money is allocated to both spheres to implement, but people have different competencies, and then we don't know what competency lies where. So that's where I think the accountability, doesn't quite resonate with the citizens.
True. Yeah, Koketso, thank you for your contribution. Thanks for your call in the East End. Yeah, Dr. Poe, your thoughts on this issue of accountability, because there is often confusion from some citizens about which sphere of government is responsible for which services, and sometimes that confusion affects even accountability during elections.
No, precisely so. You also sometimes hear it when, especially when national ministers visit in certain locations and they make promises which are unfounded. And now, if you're now left in a municipality, you now have to account for what a national minister has said. So the citizens say, but listen, government is government, we see you. And it becomes a problem by itself. And I think there's a point she just touched on, which is that question of, remember, when you speak about province, you also say provinces have, quote unquote, their own little parliaments. But their own members of these little parliaments don't necessarily come from the community, as in where you can say, if I've got a problem, this is my constituency representative. So that's why I say, look, it's contentious, but I still maintain that, look, if we got rid of provinces, and because now you're getting rid of a whole layer, and we better made national reflect constituency in terms of where we are, in line with where also people who work in councils are, I think it just really increases the idea of representation. And you and I then know exactly who to speak to. So if our council says, hey, TK, this is an issue which is outside my competency or scheduled powers, you must take this to national. We know exactly who we're going to as our representative in national. Because at the moment, we're stuck between these three people. And sometimes these three people themselves don't know where to go to because it becomes quite a legal issue and becomes more political than anything else. So, look, the key thing I put forward is if we now want to speak about a state which is working better, we must not be afraid to say, listen, let's make it simpler, let's make it smaller, and let's really just have national and local government, because that's what people would better understand.
Yeah. Dr. Kagiso Power, thank you so much for guiding us through this conversation. He's an associate professor and public policy specialist with Wits School of Governance. 3 minutes before 11.
Get the hottest 100-buck deals this week at Food Lovers Market. Buy 2 500-gram packs of ground beef for only 100 Rand. A 7-kilogram potato pocket and a butternut pocket for a low 100 Rand per combo. And any 7 500-gram bags of Fatties and Moni's pasta for just 100 Rand. Valid until Sunday, 31 May, only at Food Lovers Market. It's in the experience.
Whether it is a CCMA referral, problems with a mechanic, unfair blacklisting, or an uncontested divorce, Clientele Legal offers professional legal services to all South Africans. Our plans are affordable, and you receive up to 745,000 Rand worth of legal services per year. We cover civil, criminal, and labor-related matters. Our nationwide legal teams are standing by to support you 24 hours a day. Plus, all plans include a 5,000 Rand bail benefit. Join today. SMS LEGAL to 48721. That's legal to 48721. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Your boss noticed. Your ex noticed. The neighbors definitely noticed. Because some cars say, I rented a car. And some cars say, I rented the car. Sani Sixt Rent a Car. Premium rentals. For people who don't settle. Choose the right car. Rent Sani Sixt on sani.co.za.
KwaZulu-Natal is turning up the heat this winter. You can catch this show live from the launch of KZN's winter season campaign this Friday with the KZN Tourism and Film Authority. Discover what makes KZN the ultimate winter getaway. From the rolling green hills of the KZN Midlands to scenic coastlines, rich culture, unforgettable food and family adventures. Wozobona, it's showtime in KwaZulu-Natal with the KZN Tourism and Film Authority this Friday on 7:02. It's 11 o'clock now. Time for the latest in Eyewitness News.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Bali Dlamini. Migrants who were charged for being in South Africa illegally are amongst the 300 Ghanaians who have gone back home today. The group departed from the OR Tambo International Airport this morning. Their repatriation follows intervention from their government working with South African Authority. It comes as tensions continue to rise over illegal migration in the country, which has resulted in widespread protest action. Ghana's High Commissioner to South Africa, Benjamin Kwashi, says those who face charges were being held at the Lindela Repatriation Center in Krugersdorp.
We had about 62 children. We had 97 women, and then the rest had to do with the men. The other thing is that we also decided to take some of our immigration prisoners that were at Lindela. So we added a number of 26 of them who had immigration-related offences come with this first batch.
The case against two men accused of the murder of media personality Warwick Stock is back in the Johannesburg Magistrates Court today. Armindo Pakula and Vincent Magwenya are facing charges including premeditated murder and conspiracy to commit murder. Stock was shot and killed last year outside Zambesi House, a building in the Joburg CBD. Jabulile Mbata reports.
It has been 5 months since the two men were arrested in connection with the murder of Warwick Stock, popularly known as DJ Warris. Stock was contracted to audit and secure the residential building, Zambezi House, where he was shot and killed in December last year. The two suspects, Mozambican national Armindo Pakula and taxi boss Vincent Magwenya, will return to court today for disclosure of further investigation. Pakula faces an additional charge of being in the country illegally. During their previous appearance in April, the state said it still needed to complete facial comparison, obtain financial records, and access cell phone data. Jabulile Mbata, Eyewitness News, Johannesburg Magistrates Court.
The IEC will at this hour launch the country's electoral program in Midrand as preparations intensify ahead of the general voter registration weekend scheduled for next month. Last month, President Cyril Ramaphosa officially announced November 4th as the date for the upcoming local government elections, setting in motion the country's electoral timetable. The announcement of the date has signalled the formal start of the campaign period, with political parties now ramping up mobilization efforts across the country. It's been revealed that officials suspended for using AI to craft the country's national artificial intelligence policy used it to translate information and to edit the document that was found to be mostly fake. Communications Minister Solly Malatsi says the two officials were put on precautionary suspension for failing to declare their use of AI on the policy, which has since been withdrawn. Malatsi provided an update to Parliament yesterday after it was revealed that the policy was based on fake academic references created by AI hallucinations. Babalondenze reports.
The department and Minister Solly Malatsi were questioned by members of the committee on how the use of AI was not picked up by the department's internal processes. Director General Nonkobela Jordan Jani says this was picked up after speaking to the officials while looking into the matter. She explained how the AI was used to translate some of the content.
This document, we're told that it's from Chile, and they had to translate it as well from Spanish into English, and that is the source at which the information emanates in terms of those references that were contained in the report or in the draft policy.
Malatsi says the two officials who can't be named will remain under precautionary suspension to allow space for a thorough investigation. Babalondenze, Eyewitness News.
And in South Korea, Samsung Electronics workers have accepted a deal with the company following a major pay dispute. The deal secures massive annual bonuses for the workers, averting a major strike. Under the agreement, around 78,000 employees will each be eligible to receive a bonus of roughly $370,000 this year. Global demand for the memory chips that power AI data centers has pushed Samsung's earnings in the recent months. The labor dispute has also fanned a debate over how AI profits should be distributed. Gold is trading at $4,483.26 an ounce. The rand is at 16.36 to the dollar, 22.02 to the pound, 19.03 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $97.77 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the R21 North. That's in the Kempton Park area. This is between Atlas Road and Pomona Road. And if you continue making your way towards Tembisa, unfortunately, the road has been closed towards the R23 turnoff. So please try to avoid the R21 at all costs. And if you're traveling in Amalgam on the M2 West, we've got delays between the Crown Interchange and Main Reef Road. That's due to roadworks.
A fine Wednesday in store for Gauteng today. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 20 and 23 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour, migrants who were charged for being in South Africa illegally are amongst the 300 Ghanaians who have gone back home today.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
We're calling on Joburg to walk the inner city with us. In 702 Josie My Josie, walk the talk. Babize bonke. Enter now on primemediaplus.com.
You're with Clement Manyathela
On 702.
Let's walk the talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856.
92.7 and 106 FM.
Seven minutes after 11 o'clock. Dumela, welcome. This is the third and final hour of the Clement Manyathela Show, and it's time for our Listener's Choice feature.
Burning questions.
Insightful answers.
Listener's Choice.
With Clement Manyathela.
So, Listener's Choice is an opportunity for you as our listener to co-curate the content of the show with us. We spend a lot of time deciding what we should discuss on the show for your benefit. But Listener's Choice is an opportunity for you to tell us what you would like us to discuss. Because sometimes there are issues we touch on, but not sufficiently. Sometimes there are issues that we miss, because we're not always going to talk about everything. So if there are specific issues you want us to discuss, or there's clarity you need, you want us to bring in an expert who can explain something to you, just drop me an email on cm@702.co.za. So today, we've been asked by one of our listeners to discuss the policy issue that's been a source of tension between ICASA and the Minister of Communication, and that's the Equity Equivalence Investment Program, the EEIP. This is a program that allows foreign firms to gain ownership points by investing in training and skills development as well, instead of selling their shares. And it's a program that is part of the Triple BEE initiative, designed specifically for these multinational companies that cannot comply with the standard 25 or 30% black ownership requirement due to their global policies. So just to give you context around the tension before I get to my guest, remember the minister has been saying that he will start legislative amendments that will enable equity equivalence investment programs to complement ownership requirements in telecommunications. But then ICASA has been refusing the minister's directives to recognize equity equivalence without an amendment to the Electronic Communications Act. Remember, the minister had issued that directive, was it in December last year? And ICASA said, no, if you really need that alignment, then there must be changes to the Electronic Communications Act. And the issue here is, if ICASA does that, then that paves the way for Elon Musk's company, Starlink to operate in South Africa? Because remember, his company said they don't want to give away 30% ownership as per our regulations when it comes to these multinational companies, but they are happy to do equity equivalence investment program. So one of our listeners has asked that we explain what this equity equivalence is all about. Like, does it even deliver meaningful economic benefits, right? Is it an effective alternative to traditional equity ownership? And if you've got some thoughts on this, you can join the conversation by calling us or sending us a WhatsApp voice note. Magwenya Silela is the Chief Investment Officer of Magwenya Fund Managers, joining us on the line. Magwenya, thank you for making time. Good morning.
Morning, Clement. Thanks for having me, and morning to your listeners.
So how do you define equity equivalence investment program? What does it entail in your understanding?
Basically, if a multinational is strictly, and we have to underline strictly, prohibited by their policies to do the traditional way of selling shares, then they have to opt for that equity equivalent investment. And I'm saying strictly because you've got companies that have got different policies operating internationally. But now, to make up for that instead of me selling my 25% to help you guys readdress the previous imbalances, then I can embark on policies and spend money on stuff that will uplift the very same communities. So if it's not 25% of their revenue, then it becomes almost 4% of their total revenue per annum during the duration of the program. But that program has also have to be approved by the Department of Trade and Industry. So you are making up that instead of selling for us, then let me spend X amount. But if only you are strictly prohibited. And I'm underlying strictly because maybe later we'll have to touch on that.
No, let's touch on it now, because there are other companies that would have maybe also sold just a section of their company, to locals in other countries, but they would refuse to do it here. So in that case, then that they wouldn't be allowed to enter this equity equivalence investment program then, because in other countries they were open enough to consider local ownership.
Definitely. And I think the reason we've had this discussion now is the issue about Starlink.
Yes.
And if we check that who owns Starlink, Elon Musk owns the majority of SpaceX, which owns Starlink. The guy is holding 42% of the company's equity and almost nearly 79% of its voting power. I'm stating that to say he's in charge and he can be able to change any policy without getting approval from other shareholders. So it's something that is doable. So in this instance, he's not strictly prohibited by the policies of SpaceX to be able to do something like that. And maybe also what's important is that how effective those things are versus selling the 25%, the traditional way.
And we'll get to that in a moment. You've said that, like, selling 25% stake, there's an impression that's been created even by Elon Musk that, in South Africa, when I come in, they want me to give up 30% of my company to, previously disadvantaged people. And the assumption there is you just giving away the 30% or 25% and not so much selling that stake to some local companies, or the people who are previously disadvantaged. Can you help clarify that? So is it more you enter South Africa and 30% of ownership somehow has to be given to, let's say, black or previously disadvantaged people? Or do you have to just sell that percentage of your company so you still make money as a multinational?
You still make money, and it's not giving away anything for free. Guys will run around to try to be your partners. At the same time, they'll run around to try to get funding to be able to acquire that particular stake, whether it's outside funders or you'll fund it internally. But at the end of the day, there should be a financial transaction. So it's not a charity that it gives people 26%. And maybe we have to jog our memory people who didn't have money to buy stakes, then they were locked for a certain period that whatever dividends the company is paying will use that to repay the debt. And what is that debt for? It was to acquire that particular stake. So there's nothing for free. You don't give away. We buy into the stake, and people will be creative. How do you buy into a company? Getting funding, or the company themselves do vendor funding, whatever form and formula that we have to use, but nothing for free.
Okay. So why then is equity equivalence investment programs not aligned with the regulations that ICASA oversees in the telecommunication space? Because that seems to be what the tension has been. The Minister of Communications says triple BEE codes already provide for equity equivalence, but for some reason in the telecom space, that option or alternative is not provided for.
Yeah, the ICASA Act allows for that, and that's the thing of we know our government at some point we're doing things in silos, and in the sense that different sectors had to derive their own BEE codes, what will make sense to them. We had the issue of the financial sector. Today, as it is now, we know the legal fraternity, they're up and down in courts, fighting this whole issue about BEE in their particular sector. So I think when that sector was negotiating, that is what made sense to them. But yes, unfortunately, it doesn't talk to the broader one. And I think policymakers are right by saying, listen, if you want this to be changed, it can be changed, but it has to be done the right way by changing the act itself. So follow the process, change the act. People will comment around that act, and if it gets to be changed, then let it be changed. It cannot just be a quick kind of a situation.
So how effective then is equity equivalence? Because I've spoken to a few people in the past who have indicated that it's a bit tricky, like even just following on the kind of benefits, it can be a bit sketchy. So do you think that there are more benefits to equity equivalence compared to the direct ownership?
Not necessarily, and I think so far this has been in implementation for the past 19 years, and if I'm not mistaken, the first one was in 2021, because all they're doing is that we will spend X amount. Let's take a practical example, that they will support me, maybe say for a period of 2 years. And that's all well and good. But if I'm running a business, then I've got commitments and projections, probably which are more than 2 years. I've rented an office, whatever it is. Say for whatever reason, after 2 years, that support stops. Then they expect me to be able to be on my own and try to compete with the other guys who've been in the field for quite some time. And I think depending on what field you're involved in, probably you might be able to do that, or you might struggle. Somebody made a simple example that it's like buying a car for 60 months, but now you are only be able to pay it for 2 years. What happens after 2 years when you are no longer being able to repay the car? Then the bank will repossess. And maybe that is why we see a lot of companies, they fail after a certain time. And yes, there have been some success stories that it's more of they start you up, they kickstart you, and then thereafter, whether they've supported you for 2 or 3 years, then the guys are able to stand, on their own. But most of those companies that have benefited from stuff like that didn't last much. When they stop that oxygen, then unfortunately most of them fall. And all because maybe they're not able to compete with companies who've been there for the past 50, 30, whatever years that have been doing the same kind of business. And maybe the same thing can also be said about your traditional sale of your 25%. That itself as well, it doesn't guarantee success itself. And maybe this whole thing, Clement, should be on the premise of sustainability. Whatever we embark on, we should be able to sustain that.
Got you. All right, it's going up to 20 minutes now after 11 o'clock. I want to take a quick ad break. When we come back, I've got some of our listeners here who are joining this conversation, so I'll go to your WhatsApp and your text as well.
John Perlman. Weekday afternoons,
3 to 6.
Might they concede on the president's points, but not necessarily grant him the relief he wants?
Yes, remember that the relief that he wants is that the High Court must set aside that report.
So it must look into the report and determine whether the report is lawful and whether the conclusions contained in it were obtained lawfully or not.
Is the impeachment process absolutely linear? Could they then say, okay, we're not going to go ahead on the basis of this report?
Yes, it does. That is what this report, the purpose of it.
John Perlman.
3 to 6 on 702.
702 family, we value what you think and we want to hear it face to face. On Friday, the 5th of June, we're opening our studio doors yet again to you and would like you to share your thoughts on the station, your feedback, your ideas. It all matters to us. Everyone who joins us will get a full studio tour. So come see where the magic happens. If you'd like to join us, send an email to contact@702.co.za.
Many of us take taking a deep breath for granted. But for some infants with RSV, every breath is a battle. Respiratory syncytial virus is a contagious virus that can lead to serious illnesses, including lung infections. Fortunately, protection for infants against RSV is now available in South Africa. Ask your healthcare provider about keeping your baby protected during their first RSV season.
In life's most challenging moments of loss, compassion can be your greatest comfort. You shouldn't have to face the financial burden of losing a loved one by yourself. Rest assured, Clientele's funeral plans pay out cash within 24 hours. You can cover up to 13 family members on one plan, ensuring all your loved ones are taken care of, and 3 children are covered at no additional cost. With Clientele, you're not just buying a plan, you're also buying peace of mind. When the time comes, you will need to make important calls with your 200 Rand airtime you will receive when you claim. Plans offer double accidental death cover, as well as transport, grocery and unveiling benefits. Apply today, it's easy. There are no medical examinations and no paperwork. SMS funeral to 31586. That's 31586. Clientele Life is an authorized FSP and licensed life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Your boss noticed. Your ex noticed. The neighbors definitely noticed. Because some cars say, I rented a car. And some cars say, I rented the car. Sani Sixt Rent a Car. Premium rentals. For people who don't settle. Choose the right car. Rent Sani Sixt on sani.co.za.
Lights, camera, KwaZulu-Natal. This winter, KZN takes center stage and the world is watching. Catch the Clement Manyathela Show live from the launch of KZN's winter season campaign this Friday with the KZN Tourism and Film Authority. From scenic coastlines and the rolling green hills of the KZN Midlands to rich culture, incredible food, adventure experiences, and so much more. Discover why KZN remains one of SA's most exciting winter destinations. Don't miss the Clement Manyathela Show live from the KZN Midlands this Friday with the KZN Tourism and Film Authority. Wozobon, it's showtime in KZN on 702.
Burning questions.
Insightful answers.
Listener's choice.
With Clement Manyathela.
23 after 11, and I want to take your calls now on equity equivalent investment program. That's what we're discussing on the show this morning. One of our listeners asked that we explain more about this kind of program / policy because it's really been a source of tension between ICASA and the Minister of Communications. Makwe Masilela is a Chief Investment Officer at Makwe Fund Managers who's been guiding us through this conversation. Let's start with your WhatsApps, though, that have come on 072 702 1702.
Good morning, Clement. Great show as usual. Clement, recently in America, TikTok, which is a Chinese company, was forced to give up 50% ownership to Americans for it to operate in America. Guess what? Elon Musk was one of the beneficiaries of that transaction. Yet the same Elon Musk does not want to see that happening in South Africa. I find that hypocritical. All over the world, if you want to operate, you must give a portion of ownership or interest to the locals. Yet in South Africa, we are told it's scaring away investors only in South Africa. Thank you.
Yeah, and that's why even Makwe was saying that strictly, so you can opt for equity equivalent investment program, if you as a company, your own global policies are against this local ownership or selling that 25% stake of your company. But that's a strict condition. So it's not just that you can just come as a multinational and say, well, we don't believe in this. It's that, there must be global policies that actually prohibit you from selling that stake of your company. Makwe, any thoughts on that, what this listener is raising?
His point, he's on point, and as you are saying, this has got nothing to do with your feelings or how you think, it is what it is. If the rules of a particular country state X, or for whatever reasons, then you have to abide by them. And if it happens that you don't like them, you feel that, listen, you have been unreasonable, then no problem, you can look somewhere else. Not everyone will like your rules and policies. Hence, people would look at different things before they even think in investing in a particular country. So one of them is the rule of law, and policies of that particular government. If you don't like them, then that's fine. Tough luck, So yes, you don't just have to be forced to come in. And anyway, you're not doing us a favor as an investor coming in. You'll also be making money out of this whole thing. So we both need each other. So it's not a charity case.
Yes, I mean, he's going where the market is. It's not like it is a charity case. He's coming here to make money. And maybe his issue is it's the previously disadvantaged people that must buy that stake of the company. And I wonder if it was open-handed and it was more just sell 25% stake to South Africans, if he would still object to it.
That's a good point. You are right, and maybe it's objecting because it's for a specific group of people. And if talking about Musk himself, as well as they're saying that his speed is accessible, something can be accessible, but the question is it affordable?
Yeah. And then Kiamo on the WhatsApp line says, Clement, these equity equivalents are nonsense. There's already points for staff development and skills development and management structure comprised of persons with disability and the previously disadvantaged people. So why do we still need equity equivalence? So the question there, I guess, Makwe, is already within the regulations. So any company that operates in this country, there are still expectations that there must be skills development, that there must be diversity even in the management structure. You must, have, people with disability represented there. So why then do you still need these multinational companies to come in and comply with equity equivalence, or even, maybe let's start there with equity equivalence, because what that provides for already is provided for within the regulations and the expectations of any company that operates in this country.
And it's on top of what they expect you to invest on, enterprise development, meaning supporting small and medium-sized companies. And I think the listeners got a point. Because remember, when we do skills development, they're not doing me a favor. The minute you do skills development for your guys, the guys will be more productive. And if they're more productive, it means you've got economies of scale and you'll do much better. So these other things, we shouldn't think that people are doing someone a favor. I need skilled workers. You need healthy and skilled labor force to be able to be productive. So whether it was in part of the rules or not, as a business owner, you definitely have to upscale your guys and make sure that they're healthy.
Yeah, and there's a listener who's also asking you to clarify whether this equity equivalent investment structure is only exclusive to these multinational companies, or is it also for local companies? Like, can a local companies choose that alternative?
No, it's only for multinationals.
Oh, okay, so only for multinationals. All right, and then Kunjulwa on WhatsApp line says, Clement, I support the notion that BEE as it is not implemented properly. Here's my assessment. When the economy was unbundled back then, it was meant to create competition and to industrialize the economy to accommodate previously disadvantaged businesses. However, this never happened. It created a few billionaires. I was shocked when it was mentioned in the news the Nigerian billionaire Dangote has pledged to invest in SA infrastructure projects. I asked myself, where are the likes of Matozoma, Sehwale, Sirobe, Motsepe, and others? Let's wrap up with this WhatsApp voice note.
Good day, Clement. Clement, with equity equivalence that is tailored for Starlink, where they say that it's going to help rural black schools and so forth. And you wonder, we already have internet access in rural areas and so forth. Starlink is not affordable to the normal South African, which is over 60% of us. It's not affordable to any of those people. So when they say the farmers and all those people, it is for the elites specifically. It's not for the rural black people. And if Musk was for the rural black person, why all of a sudden, after all the things he called us an a-hole country, and all of a sudden he now wants to come and do business here and they want to amend the rules just for him?
Yeah, hey. That is the question. Makwe, let me thank you, man. Thank you so much for helping us understand this equity equivalent investment program and how it is structured. Makwe Masilele is a Chief Investment Officer at Makwe Fund Managers. It's 11:30. Time for the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. Good morning.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. The IEC is today launching the country's electoral program in Midrand as preparations intensify ahead of the general voter registration weekend scheduled for next month. Last month, President Ramaphosa officially announced November 4th as the date for the upcoming local government election, setting in motion the country's electoral timetable. The Health Department is working on digitizing procurement processes to curb corruption. This follows delays to repairs at the Charlotte Maxeke Hospital. Parts of the facility were gutted in a devastating fire in 2021 that resulted in the closure of several sections. And Hungarian lawmakers have voted to cancel the European country's withdrawal from the International Criminal Court, set in motion by former nationalist Premier Viktor Orban last year. Pro-EU Conservative Prime Minister Peter Major, who won a landslide victory in April, vowed he would reverse the year-long exit process before it takes effect on June 2nd. Those are the headlines this EWN, and more at midday or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, traffic remains heavily backed up in Kempton Park. This is between the Atlas Road exit and Pomona Road. This is along the R21 North due to an earlier accident. Please be on the lookout there. There's also a road closure as a result of this scene. This is now on the R21 right at the R23 turn off. So please be on the lookout there and continue driving with care. If you want to avoid this backlog and you're heading towards areas like Tembisa along with the Midrand, please try to use the N1 North. If you're traveling in Calvin, we've got delays on the N3 North. That's between Marlborough Drive and the Buccleuch interchange. There's also queuing traffic on the M2 West between the Crown interchange and Main Reef Road. That's due to roadworks taking place along that route, and more roadworks are causing delays in Devlin along the Golden Highway. That's between Union Avenue and the N12 exit. So please approach with care. More updates at the top of the hour. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
The Sharing Space
On the Clement Manyathela Show.
702.
11:33, times for the sharing space. What do you have to share with us this morning? We've got a voice note that I'm going to play. And for some of you that may be listening to the sharing space for the first time, this is a feature that we do every Wednesday around this time, and we dedicate it to just having conversations, amongst each other as the 702 family. So we hear your stories, which you can send on email to me or on cm@702.co.za. Something maybe that happened at home that piqued your interest, or something you want the thoughts of 702 listeners on, like something that happened and you're like, I wonder what other listeners think about this. Or maybe it's something that shocked you and you just want to share it with us. Just send an email, cm@702.co.za. You can share your stories anonymously, and we'll read the email or play the voice note on this feature, and then afterwards hear what the other listeners think. So today, this is the story that's being shared. I'm going to play this voice note, and then afterwards I want to take your calls and WhatsApps. Maybe you've got advice for the listener, or maybe you have experienced something similar.
Hi, Clement and the rest of 702 land. Please keep me anonymous. Ne? I am in a happy relationship with my current partner, and we've been together for about 5 years. And lately, we've been fighting a lot because I started paying rent for my daughter's mother. and sending her more money as well. My daughter is now 7 years old, and her mom and I have been broken up since my daughter was 2. And the fights are constant between my partner and I because she thinks I'm doing more than I should for my daughter's mom. I also pay for their Wi-Fi because she doesn't drive, and I Uber her or pick her up with my daughter when she asks me to. Now, I do this because I want to be more present in my daughter's life. It took a while for us to get here because she wouldn't allow me in the past to have as much access to my daughter. So this became a big issue with my partner because she doesn't seem to understand where I'm coming from and why I do so much or as much as I do. I wanted to ask if there are any men in similar situations and how do they strike a balance between their child's mother and their current partners? Thanks, Clement.
Oh, thank you, Anonymous. Wow. This actually reminds me of the story that we dealt with as well on the sharing space of that woman who wrote to us complaining that her partner, her boyfriend, went to a holiday. I think was it in Mauritius or in Zanzibar, and the partner went on holiday with his daughter and the mother of that daughter, right? So his daughter and the baby mama, and they're no longer, of course, together with the baby mama. So he's got a new girlfriend, but this girlfriend, but he decided to take the child and the mother of that child to this holiday in Zanzibar. And this guy said, no, I was taking my child there, but then the child is too young, and I thought it would be nice to have the mom there with us. And yeah, we debated that on the show. So it reminds me of that. So just to recap, this chap says he's in a relationship with his partner. They've been together for 5 years, but he still spends money, like sends money to his baby mama, the mother of his daughter. He still pays for their rent. He pays for their Wi-Fi. And he even Ubers her, the mother of her daughter. Sometimes he picks them up or her up if she requests that. And this man says, I'm doing all of this because I want to be present in my daughter's life. And clearly the mother of his daughter, doesn't have financial resources. So what do you do then as the father of the child? Do you not support the child who stays with their mother? And supporting the child at some point extends to supporting the mother of that child. So the listener wants to know, Anonymous wants to know, if you're a man in this situation, how are you balancing that, right? The responsibility you have to your partner versus the responsibility you have to your own child, which may extend to taking care of the mother of that child. And I want to hear from the women as well who find themselves in situations where it's their partners who are doing this. How are you managing it? Are you more understanding? Like, do you understand that it's okay for your partner to take care of their baby mama in the name of helping their children and ensuring that they've got all that they need? Let me know your thoughts. I mean, I've had some really crazy stories out there. Some men who are no longer with their wives also pay for the holidays. So when the children have to go on holiday, let's say the kids want to go to Switzerland, who are they going to go with? Because when I, as the father, you're married to another woman or you're in another relationship. So the men will spend money sending the children to Switzerland with their baby mama. Is that wrong? I mean, the kids can't travel on their own, can they? Let me know your thoughts. It's 22 before 12.
It was actually a flawless process.
It definitely pays to switch.
I wish we had done it sooner.
Outsurance business insurance clients know that it pays to switch. And did you know, when you claim, your excess is a fixed amount, not a percentage of the claim. For beauty salons, convenience stores, and all other businesses. Get a quote today and see why it pays to switch to Outsurance business insurance. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 0800 60,000 today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
Josie, my Josie Walk the Talk, is calling on you to walk with the people, for the people, on Sunday the 26th of July. Babi Zabonk, and this year, you can choose from 3 different inner city routes in the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk. There's the 8-kilometer route from 44 Main Street route. It takes you from Ellis Park through Maboneng and the Jewel City, past the Field of Dreams, Maharishi, Invisibility Institute. You then go through the Main Street precinct. You go through Gandhi Square, you pass Carlton Center, finishing off at Ellis Park. So whether you're taking on the 8-kilometer, 5-kilometer, or 15-kilometer route, enter now on primemediaplus.com and get ready for the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, hosted by the City of Johannesburg.
I want another puzzle from the crazy store. 1,000 perfect pieces, but then I saw so much more. I got slippers and a blanket to keep me warm at night. Sudoku and a coffee mug and fuzzy socks that fit just right.
That's crazy, crazy. That's the crazy store. Went in for one small thing, came out with so much more.
The crazy store. Hey, you never know what you might find.
In today's economic climate, many South Africans are feeling the pressure of managing their money more effectively. FNB is stepping in with My Advisor. It's a smart new tool on the FNB app designed to help you make better financial decisions every day. So catch 702 in conversation with FNB this Thursday on 702 Drive with John Perlman as Esther Osher, who is an integrated advice product head at FNB, unpacks how personalized insights can help you take control of your spending, saving, and planning. Don't miss it on 702.
The Sharing Space
on the Clement Manyathela Show.
702.
19 minutes before 12 o'clock. Let's go straight to your WhatsApps.
Yo, Clement. Yeah, these things which happen for, in inverted commas, for the sake of the child. Yo, you're going to find your girlfriend is sending her baby daddy happy birthday. I'm like, but why? I don't know. He's my child's father. I'm sending him happy birthday for the sake of the child. Yo, hey, Etle.
But what's wrong with that, guys? Yeah, we need to stop this thing of, look, I understand. Let me premise this by saying, I understand that sometimes there are people who leave relationships and it's so toxic, like there was abuse involved and you want nothing to do with that person. But can we also normalize just when we are no longer interested in each other, like just kindly and honestly having that conversation and saying we've tried and we're out, and that doesn't mean we have to be enemies. Like, I don't believe I should be enemies with my exes. Do I want to send them a happy birthday every year? Maybe not. But in this case where this woman says, well, that's the father of my children and I want to send a happy Father's Day. What is wrong with that? I just think we need to be confident in our relationships, because otherwise we are always going to complain when your partner sends a message to the ex for Father's Day or Mother's Day or happy birthday, when in fact they're doing that from just the goodness of their heart, because this is someone they have loved before, someone they have shared a life with. And I don't believe when relationships stop and you just suddenly immediately stop loving someone. No, if you genuinely loved someone, you continue to love them and care about them. The difference is it's not going to be in a way where you are intimate with them and you share that life with them because you may have found somebody else that you do that with. But if you've genuinely loved someone, do you just stop loving them because the relationship didn't work out? I don't know. I don't believe so. Let's hear more of your thoughts on WhatsApp.
Hey, 702. If that guy wants to save his relationship that he is in now, he must understand he's building a future with his new lady. So there must be clear boundaries in terms of financial contributions and also time spent with his daughter, which will benefit him. If he knows there's a contract in terms of visitation rights, let him plan around that visitation rights. Let him and stick to that plan so that his new partner know, okay, this is the plan. But when he goes above and beyond, especially picking up his daughter and his ex, hey, that's a no-no way. In terms of financial contributions, you know what I mean?
Hi, Clem, Tato here. Yo, man, that's been my school of thought since we fell pregnant when I was 19. I broke up with my baby mama a year after I moved to Johannesburg when my daughter was 1. But I've never not shown up for her because my school of thought is it's in my interest that the person I'm co-parenting with is in a good space so that my child can be in a good space. I mean, I assist my daughter's mother to this day if she needs help and she genuinely needs help, or if there's an opportunity somewhere, I'll point her in the right direction. But I declared it from the get-go. It's important to declare it from the get-go that, listen, this is the situation and this is what I believe I need to do to ensure that my daughter or my son is in a good space. I have to not go above and beyond for my baby mama, but it's in everyone's interest that all of us are in a good space. That's always been my school of thought, and I've lived it for the last 30 years now.
Yeah, look, I agree with that. In fact, what's important to me there is the declaration. If you talk to your partner and say, hey, look, the mother of my kid needs this kind of help, and I think I want to assist them in this way, open up that conversation, because then when they find that you've been sending money to them without declaring it, then that becomes the issue. There's someone who's also suggesting here that the baby mama must always ask for the current girlfriend or wife for permission. So when you're asking for money, don't go to the father of your child. Go to the girlfriend, or in this case, the girlfriend or wife of the father of your child, and ask for the money. I don't know how practical that would be. I don't know if they would be comfortable with that. But at the end of the day, just open up the conversation. That should be sufficient, no? But then what happens if your partner says, no, don't send her money. She's going to use it to buy a ring, the Peruvian hair, whatever they call them, these wigs or extensions hair. Because some people will say that, no, she just wants to. She just wants to buy this and that as opposed to look after the kids. It's so tricky, eh?
Morning, Clement and the team. Clement, honestly, as a father myself, I don't see anything wrong. Just to make sure that your baby mama and your child are in a good place, in a safe place. I'm not saying they should date because the guy already is dating, but just for them to be safe, in this world we're living in, it's almost safe. I think it's not a bad thing, Clement. Teams are well.
Hi, Clement. Great show as always. I agree with Anonymous. I will also take care of my daughter the best way I can, and every now and then, unfortunately, the benefits will spill over to the mom. Be it paying rent if they're staying in an unsafe place, be it Ubering them if they're from the mall and she's with my daughter and they have to get home, or paying Wi-Fi to make sure my daughter has access to the internet. I will do it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Honestly, I would do that too. I really do. If I have a baby mama who doesn't have the financial resources, and I want the best for my child, if I have the resources to, I would even get a vehicle for her so that she's able to transport the child to school. They can do pickups, they can do groceries, because you're trying to make the life better for your own child. Huh? But hey, it gets tricky when you are now seen as if you're still in love with your ex, and that's why you are using the child to try and support them, and which is why what Tato said is so important. Just be open about it with your current partner. Declare it, let there be transparency so that they can see that you're doing this to benefit the child and not so much the mother. But then again, what happens in instances where the mothers of the children, or even fathers of the children, because cases may differ, what happens if they themselves use the children to benefit? So they'll get the child to call daddy or mommy and ask for 2,000 Rand when they know that the child only needs 500 Rand. Because let's not be naive. Those cases do happen where some parents use their children to benefit from their exes. How do you deal with that? More of your calls and WhatsApps after the break. It's 11 before 12.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes on 702.
My show is about your money, and it's about how people have made their money. But it's also about what happened to your money today, what happened on the JSE, what's happening overseas. All of these things, all about the way in which people make their money, spend their money, use their money, and in so many ways, use their money to make more money for them. What I absolutely love about the 702 family and 702 land is the huge warmth of people, the generosity that they show. But I also absolutely love the hustle. Anyone in business is actually trying to improve the economy. They're trying to have an impact on all of us. And there's a go-getting attitude to 702 land that you don't see in so many other places. That's what I really love about 702 land. That getting together and doing something new, and in the process, making money.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes. Weekdays from 6 to 8 p.m.
Mzansi, the excitement is building. The 130th running of the Hollywood Bets Durban July takes place on Saturday, 4 July. This year's theme, Country Allure, draws from the richness of our land. A celebration of heritage, freedom and style, inspired by our beautiful countryside. It's more than a race. It's where champions are made, stories are written, and greatness is unleashed. World-class horse racing, bold fashion, music, culture, and a day of endless excitement at Hollywood Bets Greyville Racecourse. Get your tickets now at Ticket Pro and release your glamour at the Hollywood Bets Durban July, Africa's greatest horse racing and social event.
The City of Johannesburg Executive Deputy Mayor, Councillor Loiso Masuku, invites you to tune in for the 2026-27 budget speech, theme Building Johannesburg Together, Investing Today, Securing Tomorrow. The budget outlines the city's plans to invest in Johannesburg's future. Watch live on the city's official social media platforms on Wednesday, 27 May at 12:30 p.m.
Clientele is here to safeguard you and your family with compassion because life happens. Be part of a family that truly cares. Our funeral dignity plans have helped South Africans bury their loved ones with dignity for more than 30 years. Let us help you create a meaningful tribute that honors your life and those of your loved ones. We pay out within 24 hours and you will get double accident cover with a clientele funeral plan. Our plans are affordable. Pick the option that suits your needs. It's easy to apply. No medical examinations and no paperwork. SMS funeral to 31586. That's 31586. Clientele Life is an authorized FSP and licensed life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
The Sharing Space
on the Clement Manyathela Show.
702.
8 minutes before 12 o'clock. So we're going to wrap up with more of your calls and WhatsApps. We got a message, a voice note from Anonymous, who's been in a relationship with his partner for 5 years, but things are a little shaky now because his partner is unhappy with the financial contributions that he is making to his baby mama. He pays for rent, he pays for Wi-Fi, he Ubers her, he picks them up with the daughter whenever they need help, and his partner now says, you're going too far. But he says, I just want to be present in my daughter's life and I want to do anything possible to make sure that she's comfortable. But the partner is unhappy with that. So he's asking if you have experienced something similar and then what advice you have for him. Let's go to Khomotso, who's calling from Dobsonville. Khomotso, what are your thoughts? Good morning.
Morning, Tate Manyathela le kae?
Re gona le kae?
Re teng. Hey, ke kena topic ya gago in a hurry, but nonetheless, now what I've done, Tate Manyathela, is that I have just distanced myself. I've been married for 18 years, and my husband has 2 kids out of marriage. So I don't know what's happening with those kids or partners or whatever the case may be. And it's just peace of mind, you know. I know he wants to make sure they are well taken care of, but that is not open for discussion. And I don't know if that is inhuman or am I selfish or whatever the case may be.
So you don't touch it with him or, hey, have you paid for school fees, Sabana? Or is it okay?
Nothing.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Khomotso, if that's what gives you peace of mind, I guess. Khomotso in Dobsonville, thank you. I do think that if I have a partner that I'm spending the rest of my life with, and they've got children out there and they don't care about the well-being of those children, that would disturb me. That would disturb me. Like, at the very least, just care about your kids, care about what they're eating, care about whether school fees is paid, whether they've got school uniform, whether they've got food to eat. At least care about it.
Good morning, Clement, and all the listeners. Oh, wow. Imagine if we had more men like Mr. Anonymous. You know what, Clement? The biggest problem that most females, and I'm saying most, not all, the biggest problem that most females have is that we put too much emotion into the day-to-day issues that we're experiencing. I think Anonymous's current lady must put the shoes. Just imagine for a second if she was that mum and that daughter. Wouldn't it be lovely if my ex still treated me that way and treated our child that way? The child is the most important person. We need to separate our relationships from previous family units. Anonymous is attempting by all means to keep the family unit, and the family unit being the most important person is the child.
Hi, 702 Land. Well, I think that Anonymous is very brave and honorable, and I think what he's doing is absolutely amazing. If all divorces and breakups can go forward like this, what happy children we will have. And he must never ever change, because you know what, when you change and you start getting selfish and letting other women dictate to you how you want to spend your time with your child, you know, it affects the child. And at the end of the day, if it's working for him, his new partner needs to fit in with what he has decided, or how he wants to bring up his child, or how much time he wants to spend with his child. I think he is absolutely amazing, and well done. Awesome, awesome, awesome. This is Christina from Johannesburg South.
Yeah, hi Clement. Hi Jolan, Mona. Jolan. I mean, really, you can be there for your child and support your child, pay maintenance and all, but you don't have to go all the way with the mother of the child. I mean, yeah, no. For me, it's a no-no. You're building a life with this new partner. Now you're going to be paying rents and overing and going above and beyond. I think this guy is just afraid that previously they used to not give him access to the child. So now he wants to do everything in power.
Did you know the moonwalk was first performed in slippers? Now, we can't prove this fuzzy fact, but we can promise that when you show support for Slipper Day, you help fulfill dreams for children with life-threatening illnesses. And that's a fact. Do it for the dreamers and wear your slippers on Friday, 29 May. Visit reachforadream.org.za to find out more.
It's game day, and the family's facing off against the Snotties and Flemmies. Dad's down! Blocked sinus and mucus is gaining ground!
New game plan. Let's bring in the ACC team. With ACC, Mom's got the winning play. Entering the field, ACC helps break down mucus and clear the airways. Choose the winning team when you're facing Snotties and Flemmies. If it doesn't say ACC, it's not ACC.
To walk the talk is to turn words into meaningful actions. And it's what we at 702 are committed to doing every day. We are also committed to following the rules set out by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission's Code of Conduct. To give you balanced programming, fair comments, and accurate news. But if we stumble along the way and you feel we are not living up to the code, let us know on comment@702.co.za. And if after that you're still not happy, you can direct your complaint in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission. Email bccsa@nabsa.co.za. For more, visit bccsa.co.za. Coming up
on the Midday Report
with Mandy Wiener.
Mandy, good morning. I like your lipstick. What's happening today?
This game?
What's popping vandaag?
So it looks like the NPA is going to re-enroll the case against Joe Ferrari.
Again?
Again, yes. They've also filed a complaint against the magistrate in the matter, so we'll speak to the NPA about that. Ghana's been repatriating its nationals from South Africa, but only like a handful of them are actually legal.
Apparently out of the 300 of them, only 10 were here legally.
Yeah, correct.
That's hectic.
Very hectic. We'll speak to the ANC's Chief Whip, Dumiseni and Tuli, about the parliamentary impeachment process. We'll also unpack that deal between Eskom and the city of Joburg to pay back its debt. And then we'll look ahead to the Bafana squad announcement by the President.
Oh, by the President?
Yeah, the President and Hugo Bruce tonight.
Oh,
that's cute.
That's cute. All right, that's what's coming up on the Midday Report with Mandy Wiener. Thanks for listening to the show. Let's chat again tomorrow between 9 and 12. Have a beautiful day, my friends. Bye-bye.
This is EWN.
Good afternoon, I'm Zingisa Chirwa. We begin with news just in. EWN has reliably been informed that the extortion case against Mpumalanga taxi boss Jos Banyoni and 3 co-accused has been re-enrolled. Earlier this month, a Mpumalanga chief magistrate struck the matter from the roll after the prosecutor failed to appear. It's understood the absence followed alleged death threats against the prosecutor, raising serious safety concerns. Banyoni and his co-accused are expected to hand themselves over tomorrow. They will now appear in the Dalmas Magistrate Court, where the matter has been moved due to security reasons. The IEC is today launching the country's electoral program in Midrand as preparations intensify ahead of the general voter registration weekend scheduled for next month. Last month, President Ramaphosa officially announced November 4th as the date for the upcoming local government election, setting in motion the country's electoral timetable. Ngoskona Malinga Mnisi reports.
The announcement of the election date has signaled the formal start of the campaign period, with political parties now ramping up mobilization efforts across the country. Parties have begun announcing mayoral candidates to spearhead their campaigns, especially in key metros including Johannesburg, Ekurhuleni and Tshwane, where intense contestation is expected. Today's IEC communication campaign event is aimed at demonstrating the Commission's readiness to deliver credible elections while also educating voters on key aspects of the electoral process. These include operational preparedness, critical timelines leading up to the polls, and priority information for voters and stakeholders. The event is also being attended by representatives from various political parties, underscoring the importance of cooperation and transparency in the lead up to the elections. Or see Konamalinga Mnisi Eyewitness News.
The Health Department is working on digitizing procurement processes to curb corruption. This follows delays to repairs at the Charlotte Maxwell Hospital. Parts of the facility were gutted in a devastating fire in 2021 that resulted in the closure of several sections. Last week, the Public Protector released a report that found that underspending and maladministration were behind the delays. Speaking at the hospital yesterday, Health Minister Aaron Matsoaledi highlighted the need for changes to how procurement is done.
The manual procurement is what made it easy for people to do what they wanted in Tembisa. But once you do in an electronic manner, and we are busy with it, not only for Tembisa or for here, for all the hospitals in the country, we have discussed it at the National Health Council so that we can actually follow up who is doing what.
In the Western Cape, Parliament's Police Portfolio Committee says a critical shortage of specialist investigators in child sex crime cases has impacted the conviction rate of such offences. The committee's chairperson, Ian Cameron, conducted an oversight visit to Gales River Family Violence, Child Protection and Sexual Offences Unit yesterday. He says the unit only has 7 investigators when such a specialised team needs a minimum of 11. Cameron says the unit, which serves 3 police precincts, including Mfuleni, lacks enough investigators to properly handle GBV, child protection and sexual cases. And police have busted a liquor outlet in Easter River selling counterfeit alcohol worth more than 3 million rand. Officers arrested a Chinese national during a raid conducted yesterday. The police's Tembagazi Pendukana says the fake alcohol is believed to have been destined for export markets.
An inspection operation held by the Counterfeit Unit, Liquor Authorities, SARS and SANDF in Easter River led to an arrest of an adult male suspect for alcohol that was amounting to 6,201 liters of various liquor products in his store. The estimated value of this alcohol is 3.5 million and it was booked in as exhibit.
And in your financials, gold is trading at $4,488.84 an ounce. The rand is 16.33 to the dollar, 21.96 to the pound, and 19.02 to the euro. Brent crude oil is $96.62 a barrel.
In Kempton Park, traveling through the OR Tambo International Airport, there's an accident seen on the R21 northbound. That's before the R23 Pinoni off-ramp, causing about an hour delay all the way from the R24 split. There's also slow-moving traffic. That's if you are traveling through the Boksburg Benoni area. This is on Rangeview Road between Dube and Tom Jones, and in the Mother City, roadwork still slowing down traffic into inbound approaching Jan Smuts.
A fine Wednesday in Gauteng today, temperatures peaking at highs of between 20 and 23 degrees. Cape Town's partly cloudy with a northwesterly wind at a high of 19. The top story in EWN this hour. EWN has reliably been informed that the extortion case against Mpumalanga taxi boss Jos Banyoni and 3 co-accused has been re-enrolled.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with Mandy Wiener on 702.
Let's walk the talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Coming up on the show today, Ghana repatriates its nationals from South Africa. The NPA files a complaint against the magistrate in the Joe Ferrari case. And as you just heard in the breaking news bulletin as well, that case will now be re-enrolled. We'll explain the deal between Eskom and the city of Joburg to pay back its debt, the ANC's chief whip Ndumiseni Ntuli on the parliamentary impeachment process, and we'll look ahead to the Bafana squad announcement tonight. All of that over the next hour.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener.
Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app, DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Midday Report on 702 and Cape Talk with me, Mandy Wiener. Good to be with you today. We will be speaking to the NPA about that breaking news story. The case against the taxi boss Joe Ferrari Sibanyoni is going to be re-enrolled. He'll appear in court tomorrow. It does look like the NPA is now coming out to bat for the magistrate. There was so much, not for the magistrate, for the prosecutor in that matter. There was so much criticism of that prosecutor for not rocking up. And now the NPA has filed a complaint about the magistrate with the Magistrates Commission. So it looks as though they may have jumped the gun there. Looks like everybody may have jumped the gun a little bit, but we'll try and understand that a bit better. And the NPA now re-enrolling that case against Joe Ferrari. What are your thoughts on that and how this entire matter was handled? We'll unpack it and give you a little bit more detail. And then I'd love to hear from you as the Bafana coach on your couch. Who should be picked in the squad tonight? And interesting, it's happening at the Union Building is with the President, and that's quite an unusual thing to happen. There's been a big event today with all the corporate sponsors sending them off on their way. A tough thing to do if you're in the squad and they're not actually going to the World Cup. So I'd love to hear from you, though. Who is in your Bafana squad? Who are the contentious players? Who are you looking out for? Who do you think should not be included? Give me your hot take on the Bafana squad. 072-7021-702, 072-567-1567. Let's start at OR Tambo International Airport this morning. The first 300 Ghanaian nationals who voluntarily wanted to leave South Africa on a repatriation flight were due to fly out today. This repatriation flight comes amid tensions over illegal migration in the country. So that first group was accompanied by the Ghana High Commission all the way to the flight to ensure the boarding process runs smoothly. The big surprising factor there is that how many of them are actually in the country illegally. Jabulile Mbata, EWN reporter, joining us now. Jabulile, good afternoon to you. Tell us about this morning's events. What happened there?
Good afternoon, Mandy. So we got to the airport just as the Ghanaians were about to board their flights. So the Ghana High Commissioner was there, and he even accompanied them all the way in because I guess there was some disbelief that it's really happening. And this is, one of the things that he was saying, that there has been some doubt, even from people in his community, that this is really happening, that really they are now finally heading back home. But, after he accompanied them all the way, he came back and addressed us and explained that, they're happy that this is finally happening. And then he was just explaining that, yes, the reports say that these were people that were living in the country legally. But he says this is because Home Affairs officials, have delayed processes of making sure that Ghanaians are documented. So he didn't want to, go into too much detail about that, but emphasize the fact that the point is now that they are gone. And the point is that they didn't have any problems while they were actually going. And one of the
so I just want to understand this. So were they processed by Home Affairs here to leave the country, even though they were in the country illegally?
That's correct, Mandy. And he was emphasizing again that they did sort out all the documentation, which is how today finally they were able to go, and even further groups are going to go.
But there's some who wanted to go but couldn't go because they weren't registered. Is that right?
So what he said about that is that actually the reason that some didn't go today, I think it was a group of about just more than 10, is because actually the Lindela Repatriation Center, where prisoners who were offenders of being in the country legally, those people were now part of this group of the 300. So it's not to say that they didn't have the correct documentation. It's just because only the prisoners who were now approved to go joined the queue, and they also had to be prioritized because obviously they've been detained in this country because they're illegal. So it was more urgent for that group to go, meaning that others who are not as urgent were now at the back of the line. And naturally now that meant that the plane was full. So that's the explanation we got. But we also did try and ask him to just give us a breakdown of who exactly was in that flight.
Okay, so there's going to be another flight for Ghanaians. Is there going to be any other flights for any other nationals that we're aware of?
So he said for now it is the Ghanaians who are leaving, but he really did speak about how this is just an example that if there are other foreign nationals in the country who are feeling the pressure to leave, there are processes in place, and it is really happening. Again, he just referenced the fact that there was some sort of disbelief that will it really happen? Will the government actually assist them? And now that we've seen it, it's a call to other people who are feeling threatened to, reach out to them and say if they also want to leave.
Jabulile, thank you very much. Jabulile Mbata, EWN reporter at OR Tambo International Airport. Let's take a listen to the Ghanaian High Commissioner, Benjamin Kwashi, I think that's how you pronounce it, speaking about the number of Ghanaians that are being repatriated.
We had about, about 62 children. We had 97 women, and then the rest had to do with the men. The other thing is that we also decided to take some of our immigration prisoners that were at Lindela. So we added a number of 26 of them who had immigration-related offenses come with this first batch to Ghana. I think in doing that, we also want to thank the warden of Lindela because he insisted that once we had the aircraft to take our citizens, we should give priority to our prisoners as well. I think this is a way of us also contributing to ensure that South Africa as a country doesn't incur cost on prisoners, and I'm happy that we were able to do this.
That is the Ghanaian High Commissioner speaking there at OR Tambo International Airport.
702. Mandy Wiener.
Weekdays, 12 to 1 p.m.
Well, you heard that breaking news in Eyewitness News that the case against Joe Ferrari Sibanyoni, the taxi boss, is going to be re-enrolled or has been re-enrolled and will be heard before the Delmas Magistrates Court tomorrow. This comes as the NPA has filed a formal complaint with the Magistrates Commission against the Chief Magistrate in that matter. Let's speak to Kaiser Khanyago, the spokesperson for the NPA. Kaiser, good afternoon to you. Thanks for your time. Let's start with that breaking news story. Can you confirm that this case has been re-enrolled?
The case has not as yet been re-enrolled. It will be re-enrolled tomorrow. because when you say re-enrolled, you mean it is coming before a court. Therefore, the re-enrollment will happen tomorrow morning in Delmas.
Okay, so Joe Ferrari Sibanyoni will appear tomorrow, and is the NPA confident of its case against him?
No, we wouldn't have brought the matter to court because we are, after looking at the evidence, after the investigation by the police, we are comfortable and we are convinced that they have got a case to answer. Therefore, that's where we are. We would not have brought it up. It's just that in the first instance, it got out on a technicality. Therefore, now it is re-enrolled officially tomorrow.
And is the NPA worried at all that the fact that it was struck from the roll would have an impact at all on the strength of the case?
No, it will not, because the merits were not even entertained. Therefore, we are still exactly where we were last week.
Okay, so let's go to the complaint that the NPA has filed with the Magistrates Commission against the Chief Magistrate Tonjeni in this matter, Tuletu Tonjeni, who presided over the matter. Tell us about the substance of this complaint.
Yeah, we are basically of the view that there was misconduct on the part of the magistrate. Just to cite one or two, it's just the issue around the use of language that was used on the 15th, where it was mentioned that the prosecutor, when we looked at the transcript, prosecutor saying they will shove whatever down the throat of a prosecutor. And then we also looked at the way in which we are, as the state, are supposed to be dominus litis, which is we should be the ones bringing the matter and calling the matter in court. But on that particular case, the magistrate called the matter and also presided over it.
Does this indicate a change of position from the NPA on how the prosecutor conducted themselves? Because it does seem now as though you're almost absolving the prosecutor of any wrongdoing here.
No, those processes are not the same. There was the process where we suspended the prosecutor and we're doing internal investigation. That part is still going on. And therefore, if we find that he has not done anything wrong, because we only believe in what he's saying, but we've got to verify all of the things that he's saying. But also, then this is a different process. There are three processes, or basically four. The second process was in relation to leave to appeal, and that is meant to protect him from being arrested. And then third one was the one with the Magistrates Commission, and the fourth one was with the re-enrollment, which all of those are being done.
Tomorrow, when this matter comes before court, will there be a different prosecutor and a different magistrate?
Can I not say that at the present moment, so that we really respect the security details that are around this?
Okay, I appreciate that. And the prosecutor, how is that prosecutor doing at the moment?
No, he's fine. He's fine, and he obviously he's suspended at the moment.
Okay. All right. Well, Kaiser, thank you very much. I appreciate you coming on, chatting to us about that, some clarity on this matter. Kaiser Kganyago is the spokesperson for the National Prosecuting Authority. So this case is going to be re-enrolled tomorrow. It has not been re-enrolled yet. So we will see Joe Ferrari Sibanyoni appearing in court tomorrow. The NPA confident of its case. It has now filed this formal complaint with the Magistrates Commission against the Chief Magistrate. They're not saying if the same prosecutor is going to be handling the matter or not. Obviously, there's a security issue, but the prosecutor is suspended. So I imagine there would be a different prosecutor. The magistrate may well hear it again. Not sure at this stage. But the NPA saying, and the National Director of Public Prosecution saying that this process will go a long way in protecting the image of the criminal justice system and in setting the records clear. I would argue that it has certainly impacted on the image of the criminal justice system. I know a lot of people feel that way.
Stand a chance to win a share of a red-hot 3 million rand with the Hollywood Bet Spinner Zonke jackpot race. Enter the chase and enjoy a feast of fun where every spin could unlock riveting rewards. To start your adventure, bet 2 rand or more on select